Get seated so we can start. Thank you. Good morning. Today is Saturday, May 6th. Welcome to the California Reparations Task Force 15th public hearing. As you all know, we are almost to the finish line. So thank you on behalf of the task force for running alongside us on this 2-year journey. I'll now turn to Parliamentarian Johnson to establish a quorum.
Madam Chair, I will begin to call the roll with Madam Chair.
Present.
Madam Chair is present. Vice Chair Brown.
Present.
Vice Chair Brown is present. Member Bradford. Member Bradford is present. Member Grills. Present. Member Grills is present. Member Holder. Member Holder. Member Holder is absent. Member Jones Sawyer. Member Jones Sawyer. Member Jones Sawyer is absent. Member Lewis.
Present.
Member Lewis is present. Member Montgomery Stepp. Member Montgomery Stepp is present. Member Tamaki. Member Tamaki is present. Madam Chair, excuse me. There are 9 members on the task force, and the number required for a quorum is 5. The number present is 7. Madam Chair, a quorum has been established.
Thank you, Parliamentarian Johnson. We'll now turn to the public comment period and return to item 2, which would be welcoming remarks by elected officials. We'll first turn to the phone lines, which will last for an hour, and then we'll turn to in-person comments. I believe everyone who wants to make a public comment has a number. So now I'll turn to Ms. Aisha Martin Walton to queue up the phone lines. Thank you so much.
Good morning. Good morning, Chair Moore. Good morning, task force members and the public. My name is Aisha Martin Walton. I'm with the Department of Justice, and the task force would like to hear from you. The public comment, as Chair Moore had indicated, will be for 1 hour on the phone lines and then 1 hour in person. You will have 2 minutes to speak, so please be advised, in fairness to everyone, at the 2-minute mark, you may be politely interrupted. However, please know that there's a public comment period at each of the meetings, and the task force encourages you to participate. You may also submit written comments at any time via email at reparationstaskforce@doj.ca.gov. So with that, Chair Moore, it's my understanding that our host, Mills College, is here and would like to welcome everyone before we switch to public, the phone lines. So representatives from Mills College, please take the mic. Thank you so much.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Dr. Ashley Adams, and this is Ife Tile Walker, Dr. Erica Weisinger, and Dr. Darcel Lar. We are the co-founders and co-directors of the Mills College at Northeastern University Black Reparations Project. The Black Reparations Project is a collaborative effort between students and faculty here at Mills and UC Berkeley's Goldman School of Public Policy. Our work is focused on promoting public education and research on Black reparations policies and initiatives. In 2022, Mills College merged with Northeastern University to become Mills College at Northeastern University. Our campus has a proud history of advocating for social justice and equity for Black lives, dating back to the late 1950s, when Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and Mrs. Coretta Scott King visited Mills College, and Dr. King spoke to a nearly all-white student audience.
In the 1960s, the Mills College Black Student Union rallied for changes to the admissions process that led to an increase in Black enrollment, the establishment of Black Studies courses and programs, and more support for Black students on campus. The students also called for the hiring of Black faculty and staff members and protested against racial discrimination in the broader community. This legacy continued well through the 1970s, when then Black Student Union President Barbara Lee invited Shirley Chisholm, the first African-American woman to be elected to the U.S. Congress, to speak to the Black Student Union. Through our work, we continue to honor and respect these Black leaders who have walked these same spaces before us. As we move forward, the Black Reparations Project remains committed to continuing the legacy of leading change in partnership with other leaders in this reparations movement through our dedication to social justice, equity, and solidarity. Our operating principles are based on cultivating joy, prioritizing healing, and the power of love as a force for transformation.
As educators, we especially want to uplift the task force's recommendations around educating the public through a truthful telling of our shared history. We have found that when our students and our educators learn about the injustices that have been covered up, they are naturally moved to seek healing for the wrongs. We recognize the connection between individual and collective liberation, and that we all need each other to achieve the liberation and social justice we so desperately want.
We also commend the task force's recommendations for a multi-intervention approach to addressing the historic atrocities. We appreciate the challenges you have prevailed under over the past 2 years, and we are here to support you in the next phases of your work. We warmly welcome the California Reparations Task Force members, visiting elected officials, and public participants into this space, and we hope to unite with a common sense of purpose and shared goal to right the wrongs of our past. Lastly, we acknowledge that the land and labor of the Ohlone people, whose connection to this land we remember, and whose presence, past, present, and future, we respect. As part of the Mills College at Northeastern's commitment to principles of social justice and equity and anti-racism, we acknowledge that we are but stewards of the homeland of the Ohlone people, and we honor the continued efforts of the Native and Indigenous community leaders who work to preserve the history and culture of the tribes which make up the Northern California and surrounding regions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mills College, for that welcome message and for hosting us today. So now we'll turn to public comment on the phone line.
All right, thank you. If there are any elected officials before we start, task force members, if it is with your pleasure, we would like to acknowledge any elected officials that may be in the room who would like to come up for a moment and welcome. Otherwise, yes, can you please introduce yourself?
Absolutely.
You are an elected, yes.
So my name is Kevin Jenkins. I am the Oakland City Council member for this district, and I'm so grateful to have you guys here today in Oakland, California. It's my pleasure to welcome you all here to the Reparations Task Force. As a City Council member, I'm honored to have the opportunity to share in this crucial event. Today, we gather a diverse group of individuals from various disciplines, all of whom share a passion and dedication for addressing the issues of Black reparations. It's through the collaborations of these bright minds that we can effectively discuss and promote education and research on reparations policies and initiatives. The Black Reparations Project is a powerful example of what can be achieved when dedicated people join forces. So I want to express my gratitude to everyone here today. Your presence and participation in this event underscores the importance and urgencies of addressing this topic of reparations. I am confident that through our collective efforts, we can make a significant stride in advancing reparations in our great state of California and ultimately the country. Thank you, and I wish you all a productive and inspiring day. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Councilman Jenkins.
Thank you. All right, we will resume with public comments. And again, those of you in the audience, thank you so much for coming out today. We will start with the phone lines, and as elected officials appear, we will allow them to say a couple of words of welcome. So with that, I believe, Trini, we have Amy, who is our AT&T representative. AT&T, are you on the line?
I am here.
Hi, good morning, Amy. My name's Aisha Martin Walton, and we will be taking people in the queue. I will let you know when to introduce each person. So why don't we go ahead and begin and open with the first line.
Thank you. We'll go line 82. Your line is open.
Yes, good morning, LaDonna Williams. I'm hoping the lines are clear because it sounds real spotty on our end. So first I want to say good morning to everyone. Ms. Chairperson Moore, you declared your alliance with the Tribal Council during the last meeting, and I implore you to check into that Tribal Council before you align with them, because they have been very discriminatory and excluding Black freedmen issues from the California discussions on resources that are due to tribal members in California, and especially targeting Black freedmen, trying to keep them out of funding and processes. I want to recommend that this task force match the $5 million that is being recommended during for the San Francisco reparations. We want to recommend that the reparations for Black Americans be tax exempt. We also want Black Americans to be made a protected class like they're doing all of these others, and not having to go through 2 or 3 years of discovery. To do this, we need immediate protection for Black Americans, and we want a separate Freedmen's Bureau set up for the reparations. This $1 million we're hearing on the news is just inadequate, and it's a further injustice if that is what this task force is going to recommend for Black Americans with the 400 plus years and continuing years of slavery and injustice that we have been forced to endure. To even throw $1 million at us is just an injustice, especially when you compare it to the $450,000 that was being recommended for illegal aliens that came over here, or excuse me, immigrants that came over here for 2 years of suffering. You could come up with that number, yet you throw $1 million at us. And last but not least, the average person, Black person, should have access to task
Amy?
members and committees.
Take a hold, Amy, if you
Thank
could
you.
hold for one moment before you open up the line to the next caller. We do have the distinguished Congresswoman Barbara Lee, who is here. So Chair Moore, if you would like to invite her to the mic. Chair Moore's mic is not on, please.
Hello? Hello? Okay. U.S. Congresswoman Barbara Lee represents Californians in the 12th District, which includes Oakland, and she is the highest-ranking African-American woman appointed to the Democratic leadership. She served as a representative in both the California State Senate and California State Assembly. Congresswoman Lee is a graduate of Mills College. Thank you for gracing us with your presence.
Well, good morning, everyone. I want to just thank all of you so much for being here. Welcome to my congressional district, the 12th Congressional District of California. And I just want to salute and thank our elected officials, of course, Senator Bradford, Councilmember Jenkins, everyone, all of you, my brothers and sisters who have come out this morning to bear witness to really a historic moment. To Reverend Brown, thank you so much for your leadership. We've known each other for many years. I've been to Mississippi and in the South many, many times. And sometimes we don't recognize who our national treasures are. He's everywhere. And I want to thank you very much for continuing to fight the good fight on behalf of really regaining the soul of this country. So let me take a moment. Give Dr. Brown a round of applause because it's remarkable that he's doing this at this point in his life. Let me thank all of you again who have come before us in terms of leading the way, but also taking a moment to lift up our ancestors for whom we firmly stand on their shoulders. Firmly stand on their shoulders. Through our forebears' tenacity, resilience, and determination, I can stand before you today to thank you to continue to fight the good fight on behalf of them. That good fight is being continued, and I want to just say once again to you, thank you. It's a privilege to bring together scholars, policymakers, activists, people from all backgrounds to discuss and promote education and research on Black reparations policies and initiatives. And I'm really proud of the collaborative effort between the faculty and students at UC Berkeley's Goldman School of Public Policy and Mills College at Northeastern University, which of course is my alma mater still, I think. Mills College is. Not Northeastern. Mills College is my alma mater. I'm really inspired by the turnout this morning. It's really the voice of my constituents. It's your voices that I try to amplify in the halls of Congress in Washington every day. Reparations are not a luxury for our people, but a human right long overdue for millions of Americans. Millions of Americans. A promise of 40 acres and a mule made to formerly enslaved people over 150 years ago has yet to be filled. And it's critical that the promise be made, that was made to our ancestors many years ago, is kept. And the process of truth-telling and racial healing, that's got to be carried out also. The atrocities committed against Black Americans are undeniable, and reparations are a tangible route to acknowledging and making amends to the glaring economic and social impacts, generational impacts of slavery and systemic racism. And we must repair this damage. We must repair it. The lack of generational wealth due to racism has severely impacted the lives of African Americans in the United States, and we are demanding that the government pay their tax. There's no equality without equity. Now, in recent years, I've led the efforts to support reparations. I have to take a moment to acknowledge, in Washington, to acknowledge the late Congressman John Conyers. He introduced H.R. 40 many years ago, and I was proud to have been, I think, the second co-sponsor when I went to Congress. And of course, at that point, it was very controversial. We actually got our California Democratic Party way back in the day to support H.R. 40. A congressional bill proposed the creation of a commission to study and develop reparations for African Americans. And of course, now I have legislation also that goes along with H.R. 40 to establish a Truth, Racial Healing, and Transformation Committee. Because we need, that's right, we need it. And I want to applaud you all for taking the lead, because California is leading on this issue. A state, this task force, it's a model for other states in search of repairing the damage, realistic avenues for addressing the need for reparations. And I can't tell you how proud I am, because in the debates in Congress, I'm able to lift you up constantly as we move forward to try to pass H.R. 40. Reparations are not only morally justifiable, but they have the potential to address long-standing racial disparities and inequality. By acknowledging past injustices and offering comprehensive reparations, our government can take a significant step toward reconciliation and healing. Or I would say transformation. There's nothing really to reconcile. So I call on all lawmakers and citizens to support federal and state level legislation that aims to provide reparations for those who have historically been marginalized and had to deal with the impact of hundreds of years of being enslaved. Our ancestors
fought this fight so that we could be here today for you to carry it forward. And so I just want to make sure that you all know how many of us in Congress support what you're doing. We are looking forward to the completion of the study. These payments are past due. Hopefully these receipts will be lifted up. And I want to thank you again for the work you're doing to bring forth really in a very credible way, in a very studious way, but also in a very spirited way, because the spirit of our ancestors are here with us today, all of you. The work that you're doing, because I know that all is well and it's going to be done. So thank you all again very much. And again, welcome to Oakland, California.
Thank you. Thank you. Let's give a applause to Congressman Lee. Thank you so much. Are there any other elected officials who have showed up this morning to give a very brief remark? Any other elected officials before we resume the public comments? Seeing none, hearing none, we will go back to the phone lines. Amy, next caller, please.
Thank you. We'll go line 28. Your line's open. Hello.
Hello, we can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi. My name is Renee Turner, and I am an African-American freedman. I mean, a Black American freedman, Negro, person of color misnamed as African-American. The misnaming of African-Americans towards Black American freedmen as if we are owned as property stemming from enslavement and the selling of our ancestors by other Africans, and not as a culture and lineage of free people, either consciously or subconsciously. Has America, people on this panel, and the diaspora acting atrociously, and it's traumatizing, expecting us to trauma bond with other people who suffer from the work from their own politicians that look like them, where they are the majority. I also find it interesting that we have already given repair to the diaspora through civil rights, equal employment opportunity, minority enterprise, educational opportunities, housing, anti-poverty, and social programs that were made available for Black Americans and not the immigrants. So in my landing statement, I would also like to ask, why is it that we are being treated as people who cannot speak for themselves, have people on a panel misusing money, and also not misrepresenting us because you're not talking to the majority as freedmen? All have talked to freedmen from state to state in America, and we do not appreciate being misnamed African American. We are not with the flat blackness. We want respect for our lineage and our culture, and most importantly, the reparations is the debt to our ancestors. Cut the check. And from the bottom of my heart, I would like to say thank you, and thank you from the bottom of my ancestors' heart as well.
Thank you. Amy, next caller, please. Amy, feel free to open the next line.
Line 37, excuse me, line 37, your line is open.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. I would like to show gratitude to Chairwoman Jamila Moore for staying on task with the original intent of AB 3121, and also by being in line with the will of the people. It's strange to me that lineage-based eligibility was voted on over a year ago, and yet we have to remind other people on this task force every meeting about that vote because they want to go rogue. Here we are at the last meeting, but we're still seeing racial language being used in policy ideas, when there are people on this task force who are lawyers and should know better. The DOJ was told to separate universal ideas from reparations proposals because they don't fit the scope of reparations, but that demand seems to have been ignored, and I want an explanation as to why this is the case. I am still concerned about the misconduct of Cheryl Grills and the mishandling of outreach to our people. The Bunch Center took a lot of money, or took this money that Grills extorted from this task force, and we have nothing to show for it. Every communication form that Grills has brought to the table has been a bust, And I want the DOJ to find time today to explain to the public how we can start an investigation into the obstructionists on this task force and within the DOJ itself. That's pretty much all I wanted to say today. Thank you. We are for lineage-based reparations, and we want policies to be specific to the descendant group, the descendants of American chattel slavery.
Okay, thank you. Next caller, Amy, next line.
Thank you. Line 43, your line is open. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Thank you. Good morning. My name is Ms. Zinga Griffin. I'm a third generation Californian of lineage, and I want to thank the task force for their hard work and for having open meetings. I'm going to play a portion of the March 4th meeting, day 2, part 1.
Thank you, Chair Moore. I want to address at the prefacing with this presentation of the public education plan, and it goes to the issue of the vote on lineage in March of 2022. And I think there's been some legitimate concerns spoken about that. And I just wanted to clarify if there, to remove any doubt for both myself, for Cheryl Grills, and I think for every task force member. On the lineage question, the eligibility issue, the task force has spoken. The task force has spoken. And as far as I can see, every task force member, including myself, intends to carry out the will of the task force, period. And so I will say, and maybe this matters less, but from a personal point of view, the reality of a specific harm class of descendants, foundational Black Americans, needs to be acknowledged, and heretofore has been invisible, that has fallen at the bottom of every metric in California that matters, absolutely has to be recognized, whether that's in
In closing, Prop 209 repeal is not reparations. Racial impact analysis is not reparations. We demand a section defining the community of eligibility be added to this report, and the separation of reparations recommendations from universal and race-based policies recommendations. You are duty bound. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your comments this morning. Amy, next line.
Thank you. Line 49, your line is open.
Good morning, task force members. My name is Ernest Russell, and I'm calling to ask the California Task Force to clarify sections in Part 5 of the final report that are related to racial or universal policies that go beyond the scope of AB 3121. As you heard from other callers, universal policies or racial attempts for race-based policies are not reparations, and we would like for the DOJ and the task force not to muddy the waters of what true reparations looks like. Now, in order to achieve what we're asking for, we would ask for the California Task Force to remove or separate sections of Part 5 of the final report that pertain to proposals that go against the intent or scope of AB 3121. The scope of this repair should be limited solely to the descendants of those who suffered the generational harms of California injustice, and the intent should be to prioritize and deliver that repair to the community. Lastly, it is important to note that the current efforts to communicate and educate the general public miserably. Communication efforts have been squandered, and why the DOJ lawyers are writing racial/universal language that opposes the will of the lineage-based standard established by the task force. With that being said, I thank you for considering my comments.
Thank you. Thank you for your comments this morning.
Martin Walton, I'd like to pause to acknowledge Assemblymember Reggie Jones Sawyer is present. So it's a bit hard to hear. Can we turn the volume up a little bit if we can? Thank you.
For the speakers?
For the public comment,
The public
phone lines,
commenters.
it's a bit muffled for some reason. It's hard to hear.
Okay, we will check on that. Thank you. Are there any other elected officials who've shown up this morning since we began? All right, we'll continue. Amy, next caller.
Thank you. Line 78, your line is open. Line 78, please check your mute button. And with no response, we'll move on to the next line. Line 56, your line is open.
Good morning, committee people. My name is Naila Khan, and I am a Black American freedman, AKA African American, colored, Negro, Black. California Assembly Bill 3121, sponsored by Shirley Weber, establishes a task force to study and develop reparations proposal for African Americans, with a special consideration for African Americans who are descendants of persons enslaved in the United States. However, this final report contradicts the intended creation of the task force, AB 3121, stating many recommendations cannot be implemented only for descendants and must instead be framed to benefit the larger community of African American Californians, or even all Californians. The majority voted on lineage-based solutions and recommendations, yet this is a direct contradiction to the purpose and intent in the creation of the task force. Other examples of this obstruction interference is HR 40, HR Res 194, which all refer to the transatlantic slave trade and their descendants. This modification must not be considered. Thank you.
Thank you. Amy, next caller.
Thank you. Line 36, your line is open.
Hello?
Hello.
Good morning, committee people. My name is Mazan, and I am a Black American freedman, AKA African American, colored, Negro, and Black. Reparations historically has never been an all-inclusive claim. No other ethnic group that has or is receiving reparations have been forced to include other ethnic groups in their specific claims. Not the Native Americans, Jewish community, nor Asians. By introducing the larger African Americans, Californians, or even all Californians to this conversation, this now becomes an entitlement program. Now we are not in opposition to introducing programs to fulfill those needs. However, that is not the premise nor direction of this task force. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Amy, open up the next line.
Thank you. Line 46, your line is open. Line 46, your line is open. I'm sorry, we will move on to the next line of 53. Your line is open.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
All right. Well, good morning, committee people. My name is Winter Boyd, and I am a Black American freedman, AKA African American, colored, Negro, Black. I want to address this committee this morning because I'm concerned about the final draft being proposed. I would like to start by saying that this final draft, as proposed, obstructs true reparations. These proceedings have been heavily laden with obstructionist behaviors and practices. Commissioner Tamaki, you of all people are fully aware of the importance of having a committee that is representative of the aggrieved group. You are a member of the San Francisco Japantown Foundation mission, a foundation made up of entirely Japanese immigrant people. The purpose of the foundation is to address concerns of the Japanese immigrant community here in the United States
There are no Black, white, Caribbean, nor Hispanic people on that foundation to act as obstructionists to the progress of the Japanese immigrant community. Why do you believe that type of sovereignty isn't deserving of Black Americans? Commissioner Tamaki, you are fully aware that the JACL, aka the Japanese American Citizen League, was an organization made up of entirely of Japanese immigrants. They were responsible for determining the harms to Japanese interned here in the US and what reparations for that internment should look like. They were no Blacks, no whites, no Hispanics, no Caribbeans, or no other ethnic group that was a part of the JACL. Therefore, there were other ethnicities acting as obstructionists to the justice claim for Japanese immigrant citizens. Thank you for allowing me to speak.
Absolutely. Thank you so very much. Amy, the next caller, please.
Thank you. Line 86, your line is open. Line 86.
Hello, can I be heard?
Yes, you can. Good morning.
Thank you. This is Angela Nirvana. I'm sure you guys have been missing my testimony. The shenanigans of these hearings have just been seen too much for me. From fighting NARC and COBRA and 4 task members for lineage-based reparations, to whites and immigrants being able to have a say at our reparations table when we've never been able to have a say at theirs, to being called racist for speaking up and out about how oppressive and albatross immigration is on Black Americans whose ancestors built this country with their lives. Contrary to Joe Biden attempting to change history by giving Hispanics all the credit. To the latest betrayer, Democrat-loving Amos Brown, who as president of the San Francisco NAACP wrote a hit piece of a letter opposing cash reparations for the handful of Black American San Franciscans who are too poor to even relocate, reducing their reparations to remedial education programs, public housing, and more just over broke jobs. And I've got zero confidence in our anti-Black representatives voting for us to get the cash repair. We are long overdue after being legislated out of the state from 17 to 3%. I believe y'all are playing in our faces and grifted off reparations to keep us sheep walking to the polls to vote for Democrats to our own erasure and replacement with immigrants. But I'm holding on to my seat. What my fascist comrades wants to know about the residency requirement to receive whatever comes of the reparations you all decide on. Thank you for your time. Justice for Jordan Neely.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Amy, next caller, please.
Thank you. Line 32, your line is open. Line 30.
Yes, we can barely hear you. Can you speak into the mic a little bit more?
All right.
I'm sorry, sir. Can you maybe lean into the?
Good morning, Chair, committee people. Yeah. Can you hear me?
Oh, that's better. Go ahead.
Hi, good morning, Chair, Vice Chair, and the task force members. My name is Anthony. I'm a Black American freeman, aka African American, colored, Negro, Black. Slavery is exploitation that a person cannot refuse or cannot leave because the threats of violence, coercion, deception, or abuse of power. By the definition, the existence of Black American freedmen in the United States is one perpetual enslavement. The United States government not only exploited
I'm sorry, we lost the caller.
Okay, let's go to the next caller. Next caller, please, Amy.
Thank you. We'll go to line 52. Your line is open. Line 52, your line is open.
Hey, I'm here. Can you hear me?
We can hear you. Good morning.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hey, good morning. So hopefully my time starts there because I didn't know if y'all could hear me. Good morning, Grand Risings Committee people. My name is Brandon Tharp. I am a Black American freedman, aka African American, colored Negro, Black. Slavery is the exploitation that a person cannot refuse or cannot leave because of threat, violence, coercion, deception, or abuse of power. By that definition, the existence of Black American freedmen in the United States is one perpetual enslavement. The United States government not only exploited the free physical labor, sweat, and tears of Black American freedmen that we could not refuse or leave because of threats, violence, coercion, deception, and abuse of power to bring about financial prosperity to individuals and the country that we do not benefit from. But the United States government also forced Black American freedmen to produce the moral and ethical prosperity for other and countries. That is manifested from our trauma as the result of centuries of terror enacted upon the Black American community. I see you all are trying to bamboozle things, but I want you to be martyrs, not to be perpetrators. We were forced to fight for citizenship codified in the 14th Amendment. We are forced to fight for the Civil Rights Act of 1965. We were forced to fight for affirmative action, and yet the Black American freedmen, due to government policies and practices, has not been able to receive any. The American freedman has been relegated to a bottom caste with the news on the country. Due to the federal government and the citizens, the American freedman benefits leached from affirmative action. Due to the government and citizens, Black American freedmen have had Civil Rights Act used to vilify and demonize them, while others enjoy the benefits of his protection and the comfort of his social safety net for Black American freedmen. It has become an albatross. Please do not be a perpetrator, be a martyr. This is about lineage, not race. Stop trying to all lives matter this situation. All lives do matter, but this is about a specific group, a specific debt, and a specific country. Thank you.
Thank you. Amy, the next line, please.
Thank you. Line 31, your line is open.
Thank you. This is Zay Watson. Since emancipation, state and federal agencies have conspired to obstruct the advancement of Black Americans through public and private practices. I never imagined history would repeat itself by displaying what seems to be conspiracy to sabotage this task force in real time. Thanks to DOJ's Michael Newman, task force members Tamaki, Grills, Jones Sawyer, and Holder. Since lineage-based reparations were voted into effect, there's been countless efforts, publicly and privately, to undermine lineage-based reparations. For example, in June of 21, pages 5 and 6 of meeting minutes, the task force voted on adding several items to the final report, including a section on eligibility. Every action item was added to that draft released on Monday, except for the section addressing eligibility. I and others are insulted and highly disappointed at the attempt to completely disregard this action item and find it to be malicious in nature. Member Grills has personally been responsible for the mismanagement of several communication agencies. All have been failures. Additionally, Member Grills has avoided the proper vetting processes, hired agencies based on personal relationships. Said agencies also held conflicts of interest, including favoring race-based reparations over lineage-based reparations. And she's attempted to meet privately with one of these agencies, which violates the Bagley-King Act. Members of this task force have been fighting tooth and nail, but my concern is that the aforementioned members have been fighting against the very people they've been sworn and tasked to seek justice for. Today, I'm demanding that they be held accountable. I'm demanding they add the eligibility section they voted for. I'm demanding audits for these comm agencies. And I'm simply demanding you do your damn job. Thank you. Denise first.
Thank you for your comments this morning. Next caller, Amy.
Thank you. Line 44, your line is open.
Hello, this is Prince Ramsey. I'm going to address a few things in my 2 minutes. First, to the task force. Actually, let me introduce myself a little more. My dad was in the Marines and the Navy. I was born in San Diego, grew up in LA, and live in San Francisco. I emailed the task force a proposal for the California Reparations Plan. I also applied to be a research data specialist on AB 3121. I just want to bring that to your attention. And then here's the California Reparations Plan that I've come up with based on the United Nations definition of reparations. It says adequate, effective, and prompt reparation is intended to promote justice by redressing gross violations of international human rights law or serious violations of international humanitarian law. Victims are persons who individually or collectively suffered harm. The term victim also includes the immediate family or dependents of the direct victim. And under my proposal, at the victim, African American freedmen, we have our tribes, Afro, Black, Colored, Negro, Mulatto. Any tribe can apply for federal recognition like SBA and ADO, etc. Then we talk about the 5 parts of reparations: restitution, compensation, rehabilitation, satisfaction, and discontinuation. Under restitution, restoring the name, return of stolen property, including intellectual property. Compensation, to close the California wealth gap of 1.5 million. Rehabilitation, Freedmen Bureau, Freedmen Bank, Freedmen Schools, Freedmen Hospitals, Freedmen Courts. Satisfaction, Freedmen Reconstruction, and discontinuation being genocide prevention. I would love to talk more with Barbara Lee about how we can update U.S. Code, Title 18, U.S. Code 1091, the law for genocide. In my last few seconds, let me just say this. In order to regain the soul of this country, we do need to have reconciliation, Barbara Lee, so we can actually have a peace and reconciliation between all of us, right? And then Reverend Amos Brown, last thing, I think you need to make
I'm
a
so
new
sorry,
clear
your
statement
time
about
is
the
up.
$5 million.
Thank you for calling in. Amy, our next caller, please.
Thank you. Line 100, your line is open.
I am Friday Jones. My name is Consa Jones Muhammad. If you are here from CJEC, NAASD, ARC, please stand up. If you are part of those organizations, you see them with their seats. We are the people. Marcus Champion, Chris Lawson, wrote in the specificity into AB 3121. Part of the reason that you all are here is because these people consistently showed us to call and push this legislation through. I need you all to recognize these people in the book. When the history is told, you tell it the right way. Camila Moore, I salute you. You have been fantastic on being on task. The people who voted, the 5 voters for lineage-based repair, I salute you and thank you.
You can't speak in person and on the phone at the same time. So
we are here today for a mission. It is reparations, it is lineage-based. And I want the people standing to be remembered and not the YouTubers who disparage us, not members who are appointed to NARC and then let people talk in a room and disparage and say, we got crazy money. We are self-funded people. Our ancestors were linked. My grandmother used to say, because Black women were being rich. So when you don't remember us, you put respect on our name. And that's for some of the people up in this audience too, who don't know how to keep my name out their mouth.
Okay. Next caller, Amy. All right, thank you, everyone. Thank you. We need to get back to the public.
Order, everyone, order. This is. Where's security at? Where's security at? Everyone needs to stop right now. Where's security?
All right, thank you, everyone. If you take your seats, please, we can resume the meeting.
Everyone needs to stay seated. Everyone needs to sit down right now. Everyone sit down. Sit down. Everyone sit down. Sit down. People in the center, sit down. Sit down. Sit down. We are resuming the hearing. Sit down. We are with the phone lines right now. I'm going to turn to Vice Chair Brown for a comment, and then we're resuming business.
Brothers and sisters, brothers and sisters, brothers and sisters, please. Could we have everyone's attention, please? We want to hear everyone. Let us respect each other. Please, 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 everybody. Please. Just, brothers and sisters, brothers and sisters.
Excuse me, Vice Chair Brown
Just a
has the
minute.
floor. You need to sit down.
Please,
And
sir. Please, brother. We know that, brother. That's why we're here. Come on, let's hear each other, please. Let us hear each other.
Okay. Are we ready to go back?
Please. Madam Chair, go ahead.
All right.
The phone lines.
Okay, so it's 10 o'clock. Just to do a quick check-in. We have several callers on the line. We've been taking calls for a half hour, and recognizably, we started a little bit late, so we'll just continue. Amy, next caller.
Thank you. Line 84, your line is open.
Thank you so much. Hello, my name is Stephanie Martin, Director of Quantum Consultations located in Desert Hot Springs, Riverside County, Southern California. This is north of Palm Springs. My social location is that of a Californian. My race is white, Scots-Irish, English American. My ancestors have been here since the colonial days. I'm calling in for support of this work. I want to express my thank yous to Secretary of State, Dr. Shirley Weber, for being such a wonderful leader of our time. Also, I love Congresswoman Barbara Lee's presence and important comments and wisdom. Also, thanks to this panel and everyone who cares to have taken the time to participate on this. I want to thank Dr. Cheryl Grills for being aware of Southern Californian plight and social location, in particular Section 14 survivors and descendants of Palm Springs, and coming out to the United Methodist Church back in late February. I really hope your intention and motivations align with the descendants of enslaved African Americans in your position on this task force, and also understand the living people who qualify for reparations are more than descendants of those held in bondage. They do have multiple identities and lineages, but for this purpose, this is a specific population of descendants of the enslaved. That is the root of the harm of it all. The specific stories local here in California have the power to tie into the larger picture of the generational past and wider history of California to the United States of America and its peoples. Also wanting to say this, to the people who don't qualify for reparations, must respect those who do. We all need to support this. Reparations mean to make whole, harm's done. Restitution is owed. Monetarily, happen to these people, it could happen to anyone again if we all don't take the time to recognize and reconcile. Segregated neighborhoods with little known cultural diversity can be traced directly to housing or economic direct harm committed to those segregated neighborhoods in California. This means the claimants cannot only trace their ancestry directly to people held in bondage, sometimes for generations, but continue to be harmed through legal, economic, and social policies, redlining, the like, when they migrated to California from the South, hoping to not be treated like that. Race-based policies have to stop, like the other callers have stated. This isn't just equitable. This This just isn't equitable. The race-based, it's out of scope of this repair. This is a genealogy tool study primarily. The American freedmen, that's the buck started in the Civil War era. This is a harm done back in the 1619. This 40 acres and a mule rhetoric only detracts from what the 21st century resolution or reparations should look like and be. This isn't fair because while those records in that bureau are
Thank you so
invaluable
much
and
for your
important,
comments and
they are
calling in
no
this
way
morning. I'm
some
sorry to
kind of-
cut you off in the middle of your sentence. Amy, next line.
Thank you. Line 108, your line is open.
Hi. Hi, my name is Catherine Wade. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Hello?
Yes.
Okay. My name is Catherine Wade, and my parents were from Mississippi, moved to San Francisco where I was born. But I want to talk about systematic oppression and injustices today. If you look up Antioch Police Department, they have a 21-page report. My son was on that report. He was beat, he was hunted, he died at the hands of Antioch PD. I still don't know what happened to my son. But about the reparations, we need that money so we can do what we need to do to heal our community, our culture. My mom's birth certificate is different from mine. My children's birth certificate is different from mine. We are different, but we're African Americans that were brought in here. Slavery, our ancestors built this country up. We need our money so we can teach our children the joy and the glory and how powerful we are as Black people. They don't talk about the Marcus Garvey. They don't talk about the Black Panthers. My daughter didn't have a chance to meet her uncle, Little Bobby Hutton, right there in Oakland because he was murdered by the police. So we need to get our money, put our funding in organizations where we can run them and we can help heal our people. We can empower our people for generational wealth. The 40 acres and the mule, I remember the mules plowing the land while we was working in those crops. The land is already claimed, but yes, give us our money so we can purchase some. That's all I got to say. Pay us what you owe. Ashe.
Thank you so much. Hello, is my mic on? Yes. Okay, thank you so much. Just a quick check-in, folks in the audience. We have about 20 more minutes of in-person callers, phone callers, and then we'll turn to in-person. So thank you for your patience. Next caller, Amy, next line.
Thank you. Line 109, your line is open.
Yes, good morning. I'll be heard.
Can you speak up a little bit?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, my name is Jesse Paris. I'm a foundational Black American, descendant of American chattel slavery, and I am calling to stress the fact that we need to keep stressing that this is a lineage-based, this is not race-based, it is lineage-based. Shout out to T. Jack, shout out to the FBA family that's in attendance today. This morning, I see you. I appreciate all the work that you're doing. We have to make this clear because California is going to set the tone for the rest of the nation. Whichever way California goes, the rest of the nation is going to go. And I would love to see these task force in all 50 states, because basically all 50 states in the country have partake in chattel slavery and slavery in the country, and they all hold. So whatever California does, the rest of the nation does. So we need to be very clear and very precise that this is monetary based. We need our reparations. It is owed to us. It's debt that is owed. It is not handout. They're not begging. This is something that is owed. When we built this country, our ancestors built this country, there'll be no United States of America for any of these illegal immigrants to flee to, immigrate to, whatever they want to call it to, without our ancestors' blood, sweat, and toil. So pay what you owe. Cut the check. 2024 is right around the corner. You Democrats want our vote. I'm going to have to do something tangible for us. Not just in California, but all over this country. So do the right thing. And shame on you, Dr. Amos, Reverend Amos. You dished this out on the last task force meeting to go to Ghana with Kamala Harris. Y'all should both be ashamed of yourself. Pay what is you owe. Pay what is due. Cut the damn check. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks so much. Amy, next line.
Thank you. 111, your line is open.
One what?
11.
Go ahead, sir.
111, that's me.
Oh, ma'am.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Good morning.
Hey, good morning. My name is Kim Artie Lutulo. I'm the president of Reverend Al Sharpton's National Action Network, an Oakland chapter with 432 cities in my jurisdiction. As an African-American woman, I want to say first and foremost that there is nothing that you can do to truly repair the damages that have been inflicted upon my people during slavery. We are still in slavery. The shackles are on our minds. The monetary peanuts that are being proposed is like putting a Band-Aid on a gunshot wound. You need to up that amount 10 times or more. We need fertile land given to us per state, include all labor and materials to build our own homes, hospitals, schools, banks, electrical grids, solar if possible, and gas. Stop all the funding for research and studies in regard to reparations. We already know what that's about. The facts are the facts, and the truth is the truth. Redistribute those millions of dollars for the research into the budget that we're talking about today. The United States of America, our country, must be held accountable. Cut the check.
Thank you. Thanks for calling in. Amy, next caller.
Line 25, your line is open.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
My name is Marcavius Bashar Johnson, Dad's Great Fly America Aboriginal Civil Society, owner of Keparah Big Book, Instagram Keparah the Movie, Theater Entertainment, Land of Miracle and Honey, author on Amazon. In this challenging experience, there are credibility issues. They work on propaganda and Jim Crow to discredit our copyrighted materials and patents and trademarks, to say that we're not the people that invented these things. You hear me? Like the people that hacked my account. They're trying to say I wasn't a black king, like this fake ass pedophile and ass, you hear me? Epstein ass king, you hear me? You know what I'm saying? Is wearing the crown of the Black Prince of Alejandro Medici. So what do we learn from these setup bitches? Ask them to show the evidence that I'm not a gray and you are. In parliament and government, you hear me? We need to change the disposition and the depositions of the succession, and we will be successful in a lineage-based approach. But government who tends to do it over administration, over traditional societies, that's the checkmate. We fucking checkmating this shit, you hear me? Good day, Chef Cherry Host. You know what I'm saying? My book, Land of Milk and Honey, is a dichotomy of world religion and custom and tradition, and clears up the ambiguity of agriculture and commerce. You know what I'm saying? You hear me? Like, if you say, I don't give a fuck if you're in the streets, I don't give a fuck, you know what I'm saying, about none of that shit, you hear me? If you can't prove that I'm the king of the streets, you hear me? And say that I'm not, you hear me? I'll act the biggest, you hear me? And that's my time, you hear me? I'll rest with that, you hear me? I bet you can't say nobody say I ain't, you hear me? I bet you can't say nobody say I ain't the realest nigga they ever met, you hear me? And still living, you hear me? And broke out of jail 100 times. Try me 100 times, you hear me? I'm out, you hear me? I love y'all, you hear me? Anybody fuck with y'all is murder.
Thank you. Next caller. Amy, next caller, please.
Line 93, your line is open.
Hello.
Good morning. Hello, we can hear you.
Line 93, your line is open. I think we might have lost her. We will go to line 115. Your line is open.
Hello.
Good morning.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes, hi, my name is Ella Baker, and thank you for having me. Good morning, committee people. As I said, my name is Ella Baker, and I am a Black American freedman, aka African American, colored, Negro, or Black. Vice Chair Brown called for a public bid to select communications firms. Task Force Member Grills, vehemently in opposition to a bidding process, she intervened and said she would take control of it. Task Force Member Cheryl Grills and Bunch Center presented communication agencies that she had personal relationships with, which has raised concern as it reeks of conflicts of interest. Lineage-based reparations is the goal with this task force. However, the partner communications firms share ideologies focused on race-based reparations, contrary to this task force mission. They have proven themselves to be incompetent and have violated the public trust. The 1.3 million that was allocated for this task resulted in only 2,600 Californians being reached. How has this 1.3 million been spent? What company nor what government agency spends 500 per person for customer acquisition, while the average cost of qualified customer acquisition leads for online marketing agencies, which are around $87 each? Am I the only one that thinks this cost is astounding? Between Grills and the Bunch Center, 7 not-for-profit organizations have had $50K laid upon their laps with no effort nor result. I'm curious, how much has Shona Charles' firm
Thank
been
you
paid
so much
to
for your
date?
comments this
How much is
morning.
your
I'm
total
sorry to
contract
interrupt
for?
you in the middle of your sentence, but your time is up. Amy, next caller, please.
Thank you. Line 116, your line is open. Line 116, your line is open.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Thank you very much. Good morning, all. Hello, Task Force. Thank you for taking my call. My name is Dr. Tish Crawford. I am a part of the California Black Lineage Society, and I'd like to bring to your attention some things that need to be added to the final report. First of all, March 29th, 2022, your lovely task force determined that lineage would be the base for eligibility. However, a section is not devoted at all to what the eligibility would look like in the task force report. So I plead to you that section needs to be put in before we say that this is complete. Second, we need to make it clear that part 5 of the final report is not reparations by removing it, separating it, or adding clarifying language. It just is not going to work. Number 3, we need to remove part 5, that anything in part 5 that misrepresents or contradicts AB 3121. Remember, there was a vision, there was an author, and it stated that the task force will follow through on that vision. So please adhere to that and not make any other type of confusing remarks. Also, in the part regarding the eligibility, as we know, to trace genealogy, you need birth certificates and death certificates. So I think should be added to that part. Those items should be free for people who are claiming to be descendants of slaves. We didn't make this problem, but we shouldn't have to pay for it. So that's very clear. That needs to be changed immediately. And also, I like to thank the task force for sending out Chairman Camilla Moore. She spent 2 days in Riverside, and it was wonderful. The people came, they responded to her, they responded to everything that you guys are doing here. And I'm just really appreciative that you brought out so many of the descendants, and she was there for 2 days. So thank you for that representation. Please stay on task, add that eligibility section, and most of all, stay clear and stay with the true vision of AB 3121.
Thank you so
Please.
much for your
You guys
call
have a
this
good
morning.
day.
Thank you. Amy, next line, please.
Thank you. 112, your line is open.
Good morning, good afternoon, California Reparations Task Force. Hello, Chairman Moore. Thank you for all your hard work, CJEC, and everyone else out there on the ground. This is Dawn Page of Concerned Black American Citizens. I wanted to mention just a couple of things. Executive Order 13985 by Joe Biden, January 20th, 2021, calls for disaggregation. And I wanted to take this time to shout out to the Office of Management and Budget and the U.S. Census to comply with this executive order and release us from the straitjacket of the African racial group definition that has teamed us with disparate ethnic groups and created a scenario of legislative apartheid that has served to systematically, economically exclude us from government contracts, services, resources, employment, etc. The Office of Management and Budget in the U.S. Census helped create this problem of multiple names, and we're asking for 3 new categories that respects all individual groups: Black Americans, Caribbean, and Sub-Saharan African would be the 3 categories. This legislative apartheid has resulted in 80 to 90% of affirmative action going to white women and immigrants. I would love to see us include a section that looks at the discrimination that we have suffered, the economic exclusion through government contracts in California. I recently submitted an RFP for the city of LA that was looking for a reparations-based organization to do their outreach, and they rescinded that RFP, and that is just another way of, basically siphoning off intellectual property and then denying us from the rewards of our work. I wanted to call out the AAPI community who testified on March 24th, falsely claiming that Black Americans are the face of Stop Asian Hate, or the face of Asian hate crime, which is completely ludicrous. They and their accomplices, the Manhattan Institute.
Thank you so much for your call this
them out.
morning and sharing your thoughtful comments. But your time is up, and we have time for just 2 more callers. So Amy, our next to last caller, please.
Thank you. Line 121. Your line is open.
Hi, my name is Constance Johnson, and I am calling, one, to reiterate some of the comments that were made earlier about just emphasizing the lineage-based prerequisite for the benefits that will be available, as well as for the language within the report itself. So a lot of the language that is there that outlines the research that's been done, that looks at the various areas, specifically stating that the recommendations moving forward from the report will specifically benefit those who are foundational Black Americans and who are from the descendants of slaves, like myself. And also just the perspective of the report. So for example, one of the recommendations is repealing Prop 209, and that's from the perspective of us as a group going to the government and going for contracts or for positions that are within that particular section or branch of policy or institutions, as opposed to building something that is of our own, or something that is new and something that is sovereign, that could even be modeled after what Native Americans have within their own lands and territories and communities. And so from the report, which is outstandingly done and delineated, it seems as some of the suggestions and recommendations are to go back to the same institutions which have created a lot and reinforced a lot of the injustices and disparities, as opposed to putting effort and energy into creating new opportunities for the descendants of slaves and
Thank you
Black
so much for
Americans
your caller.
within this
Thanks
state.
for taking the time to call in this morning. Your comments are noted, and this will be our last caller, and then we will switch to in-person, the first 5 in-person folks. So last caller, Amy, go ahead, please.
Thank you. Line 126. Your line is open.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
All right.
All right. Good morning, committee people. My name is Winter Boyd, and I am a Black American freedman, aka African American, colored, Negro, Black. Now, reparations historically has never been an all-inclusive claim. No other ethnic group that has or is receiving reparations had ever been forced to include other ethnic groups in their specific claims. Right? Not the Native Americans, the Jewish community, nor Japanese American immigrant community, right? And so despite Germans and Italians being interned during World War II, they were included in the Japanese American immigrant justice claim for internment. The Germans and Italians would have established their own claim despite being interned as well. And so by introducing, quote, the larger African American Californians and even all Californians, end quote, to this conversation, this now becomes an entitlement program and not reparations. Now, we are not opposed to introducing entitlement programs to fulfill those needs. However, that is not the premise or direction of this task force. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you, Amy, and all of the in-person callers who took the time to come out this morning and call in. So we will now switch to in-person, and if the first 5 folks who received a number 1 through 5, and as you make your way, we are also going to, as with previous meetings, allow for special accommodations. So we will take Bishop Williams first. He will be our first speaker. And also, this is a good time to find out if there are any elected officials in the audience who have showed up today to provide a welcome. So if you could please come and see me or your representative, let me know that you are here. So the first 5 folks, will start with Bishop Williams, and then number 2 is Yvonne Westerner. And please forgive me in advance if I mispronounce your name. Duan Basiliana, and then 4 is Jonathan Burgess, and then number 5, Tosca Bolland. So if those 5 folks, along with Bishop Williams, will line up, everyone else can stay relaxed and seated, and we will take you in the order that you received your number.
Good morning. Y'all should give me 10 minutes.
Bishop William, everyone.
Oh,
okay, you have 2
Amos
minutes,
Brown
but
back in
do your
town.
best. Go ahead, Bishop Williams. Speak into the mic.
That $50 million that you took out, we want it back in our community, okay? Yeah, you got that money and took the vice president to Africa. You know, you try to make a whore out of her.
Mm-hmm.
It works now. Okay, thank you.
Please, Bishop, honor the title that you carry. And don't speak about my member, Kamala Harris, that way. You ought to be ashamed of yourself. Shut up, man. You ought to be ashamed of yourself. You ought to be ashamed of yourself.
Thank you.
You
Okay,
dirty old man.
everyone be quiet. I have something to say before we go to public comment. I'd like to acknowledge an important person in the room, Elaine Brown, who was the first woman chairwoman of the Black Panther Party. Please stand up, Elaine Brown.
That's right. I know.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Chairwoman Brown. So now we'll turn to public comment again, and we will resume. No one can interrupt. Everyone has 2 minutes. Bishop, you may resume.
Okay. I thank y'all for being here. Thank you for having everybody else here. But the thing that I want to say through all the research that I've been doing for 50 years, you know, I told y'all I'm 88 years old and I'm a slave, real slave from Alabama and Florida, okay? So I was hoping that some of y'all would, number one, reach out to find out something about where I was in slavery. And I told you about all these young men was buried there, okay? Black young men buried there, shot down with double barrel shotguns. I told y'all about that, and nobody reached out to me. And all the reporters here and everything, they didn't want to know nothing about it. They didn't want to take nothing to the news about this and everything like that. We discriminated so much. We need black TVs and radio stations and black newspapers to put the truth out here about blacks, because most people today, there's so many Ku Klux Klan. There are a lot of black people of Ku Klux Klan today. Amos Brown, you one of them. Look, what I really want to say, all the research that I did, I have all the proof. The Port of Oakland is a slave camp, and I want 50% of the Port of Oakland for black people. Money, land, and everything. I want part of the airport, part of the golf course, and everything for black people right here in Oakland. I'm put a town, black town there, Black Wall Street for black people. Okay?
It's been 2 minutes. Thank you, Bishop. And the personal attacks are unwarranted. Thank you. Next person. Next person. Thank you. It's been 2 minutes. You're out of order. Next person, please. Thank you.
I'm busy.
Person. Thank you, Bishop. Next person. Next person, please. Thank you. Thank you, Bishop.
Bishop Henry Williams has been fighting this good fight for 50 plus years.
Excuse me, sir. Do you have a number?
My number is 2.
Okay, go ahead.
And we're right here on behalf of Bishop Henry
No, you're
Williams
out of order.
and
Number
this
2 is
disrespect
back there.
that manifested
Next
with him
person.
today.
Number 1 is Les Robinson, and number 2 is the woman behind him. Thank you. Number
Yvonne
1, you're
Westerner.
next. Thank
Yvonne
you.
Westerner is number 2.
Good morning, Task Force. Good morning, my brothers and sisters. My name is Pastor Les Robinson. I'm originally from Sacramento, California. I'm the great-great-great-grandson of Daniel Blue, who was a slave who came out here from Kentucky and discovered gold in 1749, bought up 7 blocks of downtown Sacramento, started a cleaning business, started a church and a school for minorities in his church home. His church home was burnt down. He stayed. His church is still in existence. It is called St. Andrew's AME Church. It is 172 years old. From the power of that church, he started having what we have come to know as Colored People's Council. And he rallied from 10 Northern California counties, the Black leadership, and they began to raise money to hire lobbyists to have 2 initiatives passed. The first one was the right to vote. They started this process in their first meeting in 1854 at St. Andrew's AME Church. The second initiative was the right that African Americans could testify against whites in court. It took them 9 years, but they achieved this in 1863. Amen. That's okay. You can clap for that. We have a right to vote today. We have a right to testify in court today because of this great man. I'm upset because no one knows his name. His name is Daniel Blue. He's my great-great-grandfather. Why isn't there a school named after him? Why don't we hear about him? Why didn't we learn about him in our history books? And I'm here to fight for that. Why aren't our accomplishments as Black Americans recognized in American history? Because if they were, we wouldn't need a Black History Month. If we were included in the American history and given the credit for what we've done, we wouldn't need Black History, wouldn't need American History Month or Hispanic History Month. I'm saying equity for everyone. And I want to know what happened to all that land that he owned. On the land in which he is reported to own, it now stands the Southern Pacific Railroad Museum in Sacramento, California, the Southern Pacific Railway Yard, an Amtrak station, the federal county courthouse, and the county courthouse and the city jail. What happened to that land? It was taken by eminent domain. I want to know what happened to that land because I didn't get the benefits of that land. I grew up in poverty.
Thank you so much, sir. I'm so sorry to interrupt you in the middle of your sentence, but thanks for coming all this way. Thanks for coming out.
We need reparations.
And your important comments. Thank you. All right, next we should have number 2, Yvonne Westerner.
Westover. Yes.
Westerner,
Thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for having me this morning. I am the wife of Pastor Les Robinson. Quickly, we've seen America rally behind court cases through the years over intellectual property and real property, oftentimes resulting in millions of dollars in restitution. We rally behind it without the blink of an eye because it's something that has been stolen and restitution should be made. We cannot forget or ignore the fact that we stole people from their native land. We stripped them from their families, from their culture, and from their birthright. Yet white America has turned a blind eye to this and say they should get over it, or it's been so long and it doesn't affect the African Americans today because it happened so long ago. On behalf of myself, my family, and my ancestors, I want to publicly apologize to the African American community for our ignorance, our arrogance, our insensitivity to your cause, and for any part we may have had in the atrocities done to your people. I stand here today humbly to show my love and support. Whether enslaved or freed, we know that many African Americans have had inventions they didn't get credit for and therefore earned no revenue. Land was stolen from many, as in my husband's case. My husband has the deeds to these properties that state this land belongs to my descendants forever and ever. There should be no question of what should be done. His land has been stolen, his generational wealth stolen, the schooling opportunities he should have had stolen, his opportunity to grow up in a safe environment where his family could afford housing stolen. He was forced into poverty, running to and from school, hoping to avoid getting into a fight or even getting shot and killed. This wasn't the legacy his grandfather left him. His rightful inheritance was stripped from him. Where is his restitution? There is no record of the properties ever being sold. If this were a claim about a white man's property being stolen, I'm sure the court case would have been resolved by now. He should have the right to reclaim financial compensation for what was left to him by his great-great-great-grandfather, Daniel Blue.
Thank you so much for
so
the
that he may
comments
pass
this
it down to
morning.
his descendants.
We really
Thank you.
appreciate it. Thank you. All right, next person. You should have number 3.
Hold on, before
number
we
3?
start,
Yes.
look, everyone will have 2 minutes to speak. I understand it's a free country, free speech, but we have to do better than this. We have to do better than this today.
The next
okay?
Thank you. The next
person is going to speak and afford every person the opportunity to have their 2 minutes to say what they want to say.
Thank you, Chair Moore. The next person at the mic should be Dawn. Dawn, it's your turn. Thank you. Good morning.
I'll be quick. I want to speak to organizations that continue to harm.
Speak a little bit into the mic. We can't hear you.
I said I want to speak to organizations that continue to harm and thwart this effort. Racist organizations such as the Native Sons of the Golden West and the Gold Discovery Association formed alliances with the Attorney General, California State Parks, and the governor to steal land from Black families throughout this state through eminent domain. These 2 organizations, although there are many others, still thrive today and work hand in hand with state officials. In fact, there's a reference to both organizations on the California State webpage. Their bylaws included statements such as preserve America for the white man, keep California white, race mingling is a sin. These organizations funded UC Berkeley and other institutions of higher education, work wrote curriculum for public schools, funded state parks, assisted in the drafting of legislation to take property from Black families. The Native Sons were very local and took a public position in favor of Japanese internments. They prolifically partnered with the Commissioner of State Parks to secure land for the white race. Their statements, not mine. The pain they caused is evident today. So if you ask why we don't learn the true history of Black Californians, the true history of what was taken, the pain, the harm, look to these organizations that still are alive and here and thrive and partner with the state of California. We must take lead on creating curriculum for schools, preserving our heritage, commissioning our own plaques, monuments, taking back our history and artifacts kept by the state of California in educational institutions, like the Native tribes in California have done. With the Freedmen's Association Bureau, whatever you want to call it, let's ensure we craft legislation that historically preserves our land, our history, our story, and removes historically racist organizations from partnering with the state of California.
Thank you so much. Thanks for your comments. Next, we should have Jonathan Burgess, number 4. Good morning.
Good morning, Task Force Chair Brown. You guys, I want to thank you for your work, but I want to, I'd be remiss if I didn't tell you my disappointment. Assembly member Reggie Jones, so you said, so go California, so goes the nation. That's been said a lot. What this report is missing, and Reverend Brown, you fought tooth and nail to take this back to 1850. As I said before, there were Black landowners, some of my ancestors, that had millions of acres of land in California. And for us to not put a dollar amount on it is a miscarriage of justice and it's disingenuous. I know what my family had. Got deeds that go back to 1870. Those ancestors that lie under Folsom Lake, that were pushed off ravines, lynched in the gold fields, and made millionaires out of some of the European families, paid for it. And if our economists don't evaluate those numbers, well, the $1.2 million, that's a drop in the bucket. I'd rather there be $10 million. Reverend Brown, in fact, $5 million is not enough when you look at the atrocities that happened to our ancestors. Nobody's talking about it. When I can have a white friend tell me about the folks that were lynched in Coloma behind land that was Black land, and we want to be silent about it today, those are the harms that happened to my ancestors that we don't talk about. When you talk about generational trauma, right, that exists today in my DNA, it's because that happened in Tamaki. We don't talk about it, but we know about the internment camps. We know about what happened to the Jewish folks. What about our folks? And when the President of the United States, who was the California governor, Ronald Reagan, can sign off on resurveying land that belonged to Black families, many that we don't know because we don't know our DNA. But if I look at my DNA, because my ancestor left an autobiography, I got white descendants in Virginia.
Mr. Burgess, thank you so much for coming out today. And as always, thank you for your comments.
I want to thank you guys too. I appreciate you. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna leave it right here.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. All right, our next speaker should be Tosca Bullen, number 5. Who has number 5? Sir, do you have number 5? Is that number 5? Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. Good
Can't see
morning.
that far.
My name is Donnie Brown from Los Angeles, California. Watch Baby, watch Riot. We
Please, brothers and sisters, as Aretha Franklin said, RESPECT, let us respect each other, give each other the honor and the respect. We don't need to go out or rap on this meeting to this American media that we did not respect each other here. That's all we're asking. We all have different positions, and we should respect each other's position. We get nowhere other than giving the enemy some negative mess to say about us. And I'm asking, I'm pleading that we not let this happen.
Security, I want them out. I
Get
want
security,
that
get
contingent
security.
out. Security, I need
Security.
that contingent out. I need those contingent in the corner out. They have to go. They have to go. CHP, I need that contingent over there out. Escorted out. Escorted out. They're disrupting the meeting. They need to be escorted out now. Out.
Okay. Sir, you are our next speaker.
Escorted out immediately.
Okay, thank you, everyone. Thanks for your patience. Our next speaker, please approach the mic. We will start your 2 minutes over. So thank you. Good morning. Thanks for coming out and taking the time.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
The world is watching. The world is watching us right now. We need unity. The United Nations declared that the United States of America owes African Americans, slavery descendants, reparations. Look it up. That's in the United Nations. What Dr. Shirley Weber has done for the state of California was find a way that nobody else could to get reparations in legislation, the first of its kind. So let's not mix apples with oranges. Federal versus state is different. So I'm appreciative to the people that's been involved with AB 3121. We need to unite. We need to rally. We need to barbecue. We need to hang out. And we need to show the world that we're behind this thing. Now, just like our ancestors done to get out of slavery, I'm sure they went into prayer. I'm sure they prayed and sung gospel songs through hard times. And we have these two men right here, Honorable Reggie Sawyer, Honorable Stephen Bradford. These two brothers are going to be doing the rest of the heavy lifting through the legislation. We have to lift them up in prayer. We have to keep them in prayer every day as they fight the fight and communicate and put together the proper package
Sir,
that's going
thank
to pass
you.
this thing.
Thank you so much for your comments this morning. Thanks for coming out. If we could have the next 10 speakers line up, please. That would be numbers. If you have 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, or 14, or 15, please line up. And if the Darlene Crumley, can you please approach the mic? All right, you may begin.
All right, I would like to say good morning. My name is Darlene
Thank you.
Carmody. I am a member of CJEC in Arc Bay Area. And I would like to talk about chapter 18 in your part 5. You do discuss in AB 3121 that there's special language and special considerations for African Americans who are descendants of persons enslaved in the United States. However, you also mentioned that in the language of AB 3121, that extensive testimony and other evidence was submitted, and that the task force has considered the impact of historic and ongoing discrimination on the larger community of African Americans living in California. Are we talking about those who chose to come here? Okay. You also mentioned that the term is used to include person who individually or collectively suffered harm. The term has been interpreted to include not only the person who the direct
Pausing public comment, Miss Scruddy. The meeting has been paused because I'm calling for CHP to escort the people in the corner out of the meeting so that we can resume business. So do not stop talking until these people get out of the hearing. To resume, we have to pause business right now because of disruptors. OCHP is getting called right now for the people in the corner to be escorted out. Now that we have order, thank you. Sorry for the interruption to the public. You may resume your public comment.
Also, in this chapter, you state that the term victim is used to include persons who individually or collectively suffered harm. The term has been interpreted to include not only the persons who are the direct target of the violation, but any other person affected directly or indirectly. Every one of the task force recommendation is intended to benefit descendants, and a central number is intended to benefit descendants exclusively. But you go on to say at the same time, many recommendations cannot be implemented only for descendants and must instead be framed to benefit the larger community of African Americans or even all Californians. That is not reparations. You know what this reminds me of? This reminds me of when in 1961, when President Kennedy signed Executive Order 10925, the Equal Employment Opportunity or Affirmative Action. Then in 1965, President Johnson signed EO 1124, requiring all government contractors and subcontractors to take affirmative action to ensure job opportunities for minorities. In 1967, President Johnson amended that and included women in affirmative action. This resulted in white women being the primary recipient of benefits of affirmative action. And in contrary to what the media shows you, white women marry white men. So therefore, the benefits and the wealth is still inside the white family, which the black families do not get. So they have a more transfer of wealth than black families. Although affirmative action have helped some Black Americans, it did not achieve the goal to repair descendants of U.S. chattel slavery. So let's not repeat history. Let's remove the language from Part 5 that is misrepresented or contradicts AB 31 or the stated will of the task force that was on March 29th, 2022, as the community of Elementary is descendants who have been here from day one, and we are the ancestors of
Thank you so much for coming out, Ms. Crumley. Your time is up. We really appreciate you. And our next speaker, please. Mr. Morris Griffin should have number 7, please. Good morning. You may begin. Yeah, it's your turn. Yes.
Greetings, everyone. I'm Morris Griffin, better known as Big Money Griff, strong community activist, leader, and problem solver, and I'm the chairperson of a group called INCREW, which is the National Coalition for Reparations and Economic Wealth. And from 1776 to 1850s, when we had the gold rush here in California, if slaves did not have this path to freedom, they had to go back to the plantations. And that's why I brought that. To stay on point, I got here yesterday, Cinco de Mayo Day. And on TV, here in Oakland, California, the media asks Assemblyman Reggie Jones Sawyer, there's a $22.5 billion deficit. What do you say to that? And Reggie Jones Sawyer said, there's more than one way. There's where there's a will, there's a way. If you Google tells us today, if you Google on your phone right now, California's budget is $296.9 billion. The general fund has $223.6 billion. The special fund has $70.4 billion. The bond fund has $2.9 billion. All we're asking for is $120 billion because I'm demanding that we have $5,000 every single month to the day we die. That's $120 billion a year to stimulate this economy here in the state of California forever. Now, we helped make this country the way it is today, and now all we're saying is allow us to have an opportunity to stimulate this economy with a $120 billion a year. And now I need you to spread the word what you heard. We're asking for a lot less than the $5 billion that was asked for in San Francisco. We're asking for a lot less than $1 million that was talked about, but we like the fact that it kept us on board.
For your
and there's
comments
so
this
much
morning,
more.
and thanks
There's
for
so
coming
much
out.
more.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, our next speaker should be Orlando Greenhill, number 8. Orlando, good morning. Go ahead and adjust the mic, make yourself comfortable. Good morning.
Good morning, peace to everybody. Cool to see everybody out here for something that has needed to happen for the last 200 years. We often talk about reparations and people say that we're getting a handout, but we've given this country, let alone the whole world, a handout for the last 200 years. No, 500 years. And it's amazing how there's been so many people, like even recently in the last few years, there were the Italians that got reparations. There's many different people that have gotten reparations. Black Americans have never said anything against that. We've always been for that. Foundational Black Americans have given our labor, our ingenuity, and our talents to this country while going through a whole uphill battle and facing the most horrendous things that still they're trying to deny to this day. What I want is the same freedom dues that the abolitionists were fighting for. That freedom dues is cash reparations. And so I want to say peace to you guys and reparations. And I'm so glad to see all of you guys here. This is why we're here. Our ancestors are clapping for us right now. Peace.
Thank you. Thanks so much. Next speaker should be Darius Lang. Darius Young. Sorry. Thank you so much. Good morning.
Good morning to the task force members. First of all, I'm Darius Young, and I'm here representing myself as a resident of Oakland, but I'm also here representing the Bay Area Regional Health Inequities Initiative and the Bay Area Advisory Black Housing Task Force. And so I'm here today just to say that, first of all, our task force brings together 80 Black-led organizations dedicated to serving the health and well-being of California's Black communities with expertise in housing development, housing finance, and Black economic development. And so I would say that, as been articulated within the Reparations Task Force report, we know that Black communities are the hardest hit by California's housing crisis, and that's due to decades of discrimination, redlining, and other housing policies, as well as disinvestment. And so what we're asking today is that the task force considering putting into their recommendations our Black housing development concept and fund that will help to bring prosperity and wealth to African American-led communities, and also throughout, those communities that are lineage-based that has been exploited by redlining and all the other inequities in housing policies that have been, brought forth here in California. And so I would also like to say that there's several members of the Black Housing Coalition that has been instrumental in contributing to the work of the task force, and we do appreciate all the work that you all have done and continue to do. I would also say that as of late, I and several other people within our coalition have been approached by the communications group, and we have very well worked with them to help to get the communications piece out. And that's what's needed, the community to come on board to help getting the message out so that more African American, especially those that are qualified for the reparations, to be able to take part in this. And so I would say that even
Thank you
if we
so
don't,
much for your
thank you, and
comments.
I
Thanks for
appreciate it.
coming out. Thanks for taking the time out. All right, next speaker, please. Good morning. You may begin.
Good morning. Good morning. I am Raphael Plunkett. Joe and I are here from Diamond Bar, and I'm also here with CJEC today. It's so great to see all of your faces again. First, I want to thank Dr. Weber for my comments. As always, please get the report and get it shared widely. The information needs to be out there. After reading some of the information, I'd like to add that I'd also ask that you add an eligibility section. I thought we had agreed on that in June of 2021. I ask that there's consistent, clear, and distinct language. Black descendants. Without that specificity, we are vulnerable. And for all of these things to go to other groups, please be specific. As for part 5, a lot of those things are very necessary for our citizens. That's more universal. That is not reparations. The last thing I'd like to talk about is a personal frustration for me. The typos and the grammar, the grammatical errors that is beneath this body, it is beneath the process, and it is beneath us. We deserve better. I can't imagine, I cannot fathom all of the research that you have all done and all the reading that you've done to have dealt with such mediocrity in the face of your excellence. I ask for further excellence going forward. Thank you very much. I'll see you on June 30th.
Thank you. Okay, Nadia Myers should be next. Good morning.
Good morning. My name is Nadia T. Myers, also known as Luna Nightshade. I am here to represent the deceased. I'm talking about those who have been murdered and not had accountability. We have AI recognition, facial recognition. We have plenty of photographs of historical events, of lynchings, and other types of atrocities. I would like to see that facial recognition filters will be added to these photos so that we can be able to prosecute those individuals and remedy and mitigate and bring closure to all those families who have lost their loved ones due to injustices. I didn't see anything on the proposal that actually dealt with accountability for those who have caused harm. And so I would like to see those efforts as well. And again, we don't need necessarily individuals, just give the people the money and then they can be able to use the money how they see fit. And I think that's what everyone is trying to say, that all the Wall Streets, the Black Wall Streets that we have, the Rosewoods, all of these places actually put their heads together as a community and they started whatever they needed to do. And it looks like this proposal is actually trying to usurp the funds to go to different other organizations. And if you just give the people the money and let them have the free will to utilize it as their ancestors was going to use it, then I think that would be the most beneficial. And again, using AI technology to actually identify those who were who caused the harm, and they can be classified as terroristic acts as well as gangs acts, and those laws can be used to help mitigate those families who had the loss of those loved ones.
Thank you so much for coming out this morning. Our next speaker, I believe, should be Iris Peoples. Please come forward, and if you have numbers 16 through 25, if you could please line up.
Thank you, everybody. Yes, my name is Iris Peoples. And first, I want to thank the chair, and I want to thank the other members of the task force for fighting for lineage-based repair. Next, I want to thank some anchor orgs who I have gotten a lot of my information from. Those are CJEC, NAASD, ARCC, and the ETM Media Group. So thank you guys for spreading the word and for keeping us informed. And we know that reparations are the right thing to do and are good for America. For instance, that Citibank or that Citigroup released a report that said anti-Black bias has cost this nation's GDP over $16 trillion since 2020. And I think 16 trillion can pay for healthcare for all, it can pay for education for all, and it might even have a little bit of money left over to pay for like a high-speed railway, like from East Coast to West Coast. So we know that protections for Black Americans are actually really, really good for everyone. And then I have a few requests. The first is to add an eligibility section to the final report. The second is to change up part 5 because it definitely currently contradicts AB 3121, as other people have previously stated. Universal policies are not reparations, even though they might be a good thing. This is for repair, so the universal language has got to go. Next, I would like to talk about some concerns. My really biggest concern is NCOBRA, and we have a member on the task force who is the chair of NCOBRA, who's gotten, I think, $50 million or $15 million, something like that, from Wells Fargo. On April 19th, at the State of the Black World, Grills told guests that she and others are fighting against lineage repair. And I'm like, if you are fighting against that, what are we even doing here? Because we know race-based policies are illegal in California. So I'm very, very concerned about that. And last, I just would like to mention my grandmother, Jessie Peoples, who worked for the post office, and she earned enough money to buy homes anywhere in San Francisco, but she saw with her own eyes deeds that said, do not sell to Blacks.
Thank
that
you.
cost our
Thank
family
you so
millions
much
in
for
real estate value.
your
Thank you.
comments. Thanks for coming out. Next speaker. Good morning. Should be Ashley Haynes. Good morning.
Good morning, task force members and chair. As a Black American on both sides of my family and a third generation Californian, it's clear we all know reparations should have been paid like yesterday. It's for more than just slavery. Everyone else has been paid and now it's our turn. I came all the way from Georgia to speak for my ancestors and to make sure we get this done right. Black Americans are the only group that has not received reparations for state-sanctioned racial discrimination, while slavery afforded some white families the ability to accrue tremendous wealth. I ask that you please consider Black Americans that were born and raised in California, but left because of gentrification, racism, and out-of-control immigration. San Francisco Reparations has a good plan for their eligibility requirements as far as residency, and should be considered for the state level claim. Also, most Black Americans don't want to be called freedmen. It doesn't apply to California, and any race can be classified as that. We don't want to be reclassified to emancipated slaves. It's offensive. And no to peoplehood or anything else y'all come up with. We are Black Americans. That's it. Delineation is finally here. Also, we do not need an agency that could potentially steal our money again. So no to a Freedmen's Bureau. We want direct cash payments, just like how the stimulus were sent out. It's our inheritance, and we can handle it. 1.2 million is nowhere near enough. It should be starting at least 5 million like San Francisco.
Thank you so much for your
Also-
comments this morning. I'm so sorry. It's
All
been
right,
2
thank
minutes.
you.
All
Let's
right.
get it together and stop running interference.
Thank you. All right. Now we're moving on to number 16. Joseph, who has 16? If not, we'll move to number 17. Yes, this should be number 17, and 16 through 25 should have lined up. 17's not here. We'll go to 18. Daniel. Oh, 17. Good morning.
Can you hear me? From my experience and background in STEM, the answer to almost any generalized question of remedy to a problem is it depends on the conditions that contributed to the harm, the conditions in which the recipients of harm still reside, and what resources are available to aid in that remedy. Many times a hybrid approach is required on both the micro and macro levels. This definition of reparations is inherently a hybrid approach, and nothing short of the requirements set forth by the UN principles is sufficient to address the harms and atrocities committed against my people, ancestors, and elders, those that are still being committed in the most covert and overt ways against my people and contemporaries and the youth that look to us to set an example through policy, regulation, and financial literacy, and much more. As Chair Moore stated in previous meetings, the only true example cited in the Chapter 15 examples on reparation schemes was that of Germany, Israel, and to popular knowledge, that includes not only policy, but land and compensation from the federal budget. If you can do that for a foreign country whose resources you have a vested interest in, then surely you can do that for a domestic nation of people whose bodies were used as the main resources to build this country. I will say it plain. We need to stay focused on the descendants of U.S. chattel slavery and unapologetically so. Gatekeeping the distinct ethnic groups that make up the diaspora is pivotal to progress, as the African-American experience in the U.S. is unique, and that is a fact that we can no longer ignore. Every document produced by this task force should be accompanied by a glossary that defines pivotal words and phrases used that I have seen cause this task force to waste time that could be better spent on what the proposed agency is supposed to stand for. These documents serve to determine the course of our cause. Part of the compensatory aspect of reparations should include tax exemption as well as cash compensation, as the Chapter 17 calculations recommendations could never truly put a number to the amount due in exchange for the labor that was forcibly taken and exploited. Not enough money in the world exists. In the same vein, we should be made a protected class and awarded all the benefits therein. As for the agency and eligibility, I hope that today all of the task force has read all the documents and gathered their thoughts as opposed to arguing about what they are reading in real time. In addition, but not limited to the oversight and direct service departments of the agency listed in Chapter 18, I argue that the legal affairs branch should include funding for awarding the descendants
Thank
of
you so
U.S. chattel
much.
slavery
Thank you
with
so
aid
much
for
for
the
your comments
intellectual
this
property
morning.
rights that they wish to protect and benefit from.
Thank you for coming out, and we need to go to the next speaker, please. Thank you. Your 2 minutes are up, but thank you so much. Your comments are noted by the task force. Thanks again for coming out. All right, next we have Daniel Landry, number 18. Please, good morning.
Yes, good morning, task force, Chair Moore, of course, to Black people in the audience and Black people wherever you at. My name is Daniel Landry. I am the member of the San Francisco Reparation Task Force Committee, Advisory Committee, and I come before you this morning to speak on two things very quickly. Number one, lineage base is pretty much what we're considering and putting forth, and we'll have a meeting this coming Monday, which is going to be a big decision for us because we've been working like you for 2 years now, trying to figure this thing out about eligibility. Number two, I was talking to the director in San Francisco about the redevelopment agency, and a conversation is developing about taking legal action, whether it's legal action of San Francisco suing the state of California or if California suing the federal government. I think we need to consider remedies as we move towards this reparations thing, because you know as well as I know, it was some connections there that allowed for the past harms, the legacy institutions in San Francisco and in this state to happen. Quite frankly, what's happening this morning, like someone said earlier, the tension is good because of whatever we're going through. It can't add up to what our people done went through here in the United States and throughout the world. But I will echo, we got to do better, like Chair Moore said, because at the end of the day, we all are Black. And I'm not going to shoot myself in the foot thinking I'm making progress. So as much as we want to use someone as a punching bag, it's bigger than all of us. So I just thought I'd emphasize that, show some respect and love for each other. We can have conversations behind the doors. We can argue. We can even curse each other out.
Thank you.
But let's show some respect in the public. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. The next speaker should be Eris Eggerly and then Chris Lodgen. 19 and 20, please come forward to the mic. Eris Eggerly.
Hi, Eris gave me his number 19 out of respect for my elected position in the city of San Francisco. Okay, my name is Gloria Berry. I'm elected to the San Francisco Democratic Party. I simultaneously serve on the San Francisco Reparations Committee. I want to emphasize a lot of us committees in the cities need to have support from the state level when it comes to education. I'm all for cut the check, but I'm also for us bettering our schools so that the prison pipeline is disrupted. When we have our schools, I think we should demand that there be schools that tell the truth, that we stop continuing white supremacy when it comes to our education. While history is often viewed as an objective account of past events, the reality is that the selection and presentation of historical information can be influenced by a variety of factors, including racism, political context, and the limitation of the historical record. Therefore, it is important to approach history with a critical and open-minded perspective and to seek out a diversity of sources and perspectives in order to gain a fuller understanding of historical truth. In San Francisco, through a simple search, I saw that there was at least 3 Latino schools, 10 Japanese schools, 3 Korean schools, 18 French schools, at least 2 German schools, and 3 Native American schools. We need Black schools. We need Black HBCUs here in California. We need to hire Black and brown people that teach the truth. And we need those brothers and sisters to be retrained on a different curriculum that is based on truth and not white supremacy. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for coming out. I need Chris Lodgton, and then Russell Clark is next.
You know, I had a whole thing here, but I want to talk to my people for a minute. And I get to this. So I know we hurting. I know we've been through it, we going through it. I know we bring our trauma into this work. As somebody who is an organizer for over 10, 15 years now, I know we bring our trauma into this work. I know what we are capable of also. As the task force completes this work and finishes this plan, I want to say to my people, I'm going to need you, because part of my job, along with these 2 brothers here and a lot of the rest of us, is to actually get you reparations. When this work is done today and at the last hearing, the next part of the battle begins. It's one thing to do a reparations task force. It's one thing to do a study and all that. It's another thing to actually get you reparations. That's my job. That's my job. But it's also your job too. I understand the anger. Let's also use some of that anger to get the damn reparations too. I'm gonna stop there for right now. You need to add an eligibility section to the report. It's a statement or 2. There gotta be a whole section in there. Add it to part 4. You gotta make it clear that part 5 is not reparations. It's already not clear to people. You've heard it in the comments, on the phone, and in person. It's not clear. People think the policies and recommendations are reparations. Reparations are in part 4. That's the cash money. That's the direct compensation. That's the reparations. But y'all got to make it very clear today that part 5 is not reparations. They are good things to do, but you got to make it clear.
I'm so sorry.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thanks for understanding. Next should be Russell Clark, and then Cameron Jackson, and then Donald Brown.
Good morning, task force members. My name is Russell Clark. I'm a 4th generation resident of Oakland, California. I'm doing this for the Clark family. Right now, everybody in here, especially you task force members, y'all can feel the tension, can't you? You feel that anger? Do you feel it? We are angry. We've been passed over by every single group, citizen and non-citizen, within the United States of America, especially here in California. We are expecting all of you, every single one of you, to do us right by this California Reparations Task Force. We need cash reparations, number one. Number one, anti-Black hate crime bills, and all the rest of what you guys have recommended in the report. I don't know what's going to happen after these hearings. This is what I do know. I have to represent not only for my ancestors, Douglas Clark, Anthony M.J. Clark, but for my descendants, my child, my grandchildren to come, my descendants to come. We don't have time to dilly-dally, to BS around. We are running out of time. I expect you guys to do your due diligence, as you've already done, but I expect you to do us right as foundational Black Americans. Reparations is now. Pay the debt, cut the check, or no reparations, no vote 2024. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker is Cameron Jackson, then Donald Brown. Cameron Jackson, Donald Brown, then Tariq Nashad, number 26. If you have 26 through 30, please line up. Cameron Jackson, Donald Brown, Tariq Nasheed, Ann Davis, Marcus Hunter, Sharice Cryer, Constance French. Please line up quickly, please. Thank you so much, everybody. And just, if you could just let us know what number you are. About 5. Okay, who's next? Cameron Jackson, Donald Brown, Tariq Nasheed, Ann Davis, Marcus Hunter. Those folks who have received a number, please come forward quickly. Approach the mic and tell us what number you have. And if you are not here, we'll keep going. Ann Davis, Marcus Hunter, Sharice Cryer, Constance French, please come forward quickly. And you are, what number? I'm not sure. Okay. And what number, please?
12.
Thank you.
12.
Go ahead.
Dear red and blue attention, our Black vote is for sale. What's the price? It is land. We're asking for land and land only, primarily because we know the monetary value goes back and forth. First and foremost, we thank you, Task Force, for the work that you have done since 2021, but your services are no longer needed after Amos Brown did what he did. And yet, when you want to speak about respect, tell me what politician respects the Black constituents in their community to give them housing, to give them business, to give them just a better way of life. We want you to work with what's needed for the people, not to create your own. The problem is this task force was picked by Gavin Newsom, Anthony Redden, and Tony Akins. Nothing's wrong with that, but again, politicians don't work for the people as they elected. They work for themselves as self-serving.
Okay, if you can go.
So as a descendant of slave, my main primary issue in Los Angeles County, where I'm born and raised, as a Black woman, been disrespected left and right by my Black-faced politicians when it comes to equity. So if you want to give back reparations, the first thing is to reverse the no's, that loans, and land that we asked for. CEQA as well, been part of that, redlining. We need to build our own clinics, mental health, and legislation to protect our Black bodies. It is power to the people. Again, we can't keep waiting for people to give the answer because we're not in these political arenas. You got to go to your city council. You got to teach your children how to enjoy, how to do political science as well. Without these things, Without these things, we're going to keep waiting for the answers. You got to know what's going on and stop waiting for someone to give you the answer. That's why we're going through all this. Stop fighting and say we're not political when politics dictate how we live. Again, we thank you for your job, but you're fired. We need an alternative task force for the people by the people.
Thank you so much for
Okay?
your comments
Appreciate
this
you.
morning.
And
Next,
have a good day. And you,
next
Amos,
should be Cameron Jackson. Thank you so much. Cameron Jackson. No, Cameron Jackson's turn, please. And then Donald Brown, then Tariq Nasheed, Ann Davis, and Marcus Hunter.
Good morning, Task Force. My name is Cameron Jackson. I'm a fourth generation Californian and I speak for. Good morning. My name is Cameron Jackson. I'm a fourth generation Californian and I speak for myself, my family, my ancestors, and just want to emphasize two things: cash reparations starting and focus on the descendants of American slaves. And that's all.
Oh, thank you. Next, we have Donald Brown. Donald Brown, please.
Reverend
Pastor
Tony Pierce, I'm
Pierce.
next. I have the number. You shut me down in Oakland before. You're not going to shut me down again. Just a minute, sir. You're not going to shut me down again. I
Excuse
have
me,
the number.
respectfully, if you're not next,
Chairperson.
you cannot go next. So who's next?
I'm next.
Let's hold on. We'll check. We'll
The
verify
number
that.
should be 24.
Is your
Donald,
number?
Donald Brown.
24
Okay.
Donald
in
Brown.
my hand.
Donald Brown.
Does everybody see that? Listen.
Donald
Donald
Brown.
Donald Brown, would you go?
Okay, let me finish.
Then-
Shut me down in
I'll let
Oakland
you-
last
Okay,
time.
I want to confirm Donald Brown already made a comment, correct? Okay, so now we're going to the Reverend. Reverend Pierce, you're next. You're next. You can go now. Turn around to the microphone. You can meet.
Donald Brown.
You're next, sir. Your 2 minutes start now.
All of you.
Okay,
We
your 2
are
minutes has
convening
started.
a conference on June
Please begin.
17th, and you. She said you failed us. This is the second time you tried to shut me down with my number in the hand, and it won't happen. You know that the number should be equivalent to what an acre was back then when we were given 40. Okay? When we were given 40 acres, you know what that number is. You keep trying to talk about now, yet you research back to slavery and you say nothing about slavery. Nothing. So the equivocal number from the 1860s for 40 acres today is $200 million for each and every African American. You're not supposed to be afraid. You're not supposed to be afraid. You're just supposed to tell the truth. You're not supposed to be the gatekeepers. You're supposed to say what the people want and hear from the people. So on June 17th, this will not be handed out here. It'll be handed out outside. But on June 17th, we're convening a conference at First AME Church for Juneteenth. We'll be serving barbecue. We'll be having fun. But we're looking for the real solutions. And we want all of you to come and participate for the real solution. And tell Governor Newsom, we're coming. He knows me.
Thank you, Pastor. Okay, we have, we're wrapping it up. The task force is asked to hear all the way through folks who have number 30. So that would be Tariq Nashad, Ann Davis, Marcus Hunter, Sharice Cryer, and Constance French. If you are those people and have numbers through 30, please line up, and that will conclude the in-person. So, sir?
Much respect to all the brothers and sisters here in the Bay Area, first of all. I want to make 3 quick points about reparations and then let our other brothers and sisters speak. First thing, we have to understand we have to focus and keep the emphasis on it being lineage-based. The problem is we see a lot of trick bag language being mixed into it where it opens the floor for other groups to come in and undermine us. Reparations in the form of lineage-based compensation is not a compensation for racism. Let's be very clear. If we open the door to racism, Hispanics can come in, Asians can come in, Middle Eastern people can come in. It will become affirmative action again, where we are left holding the crumbs and everybody else is holding the cake. So we have to focus on the lineage-based reparations, especially the agreement that our Foundation of Black American Lineage accrued out here in California. In California, this was a state that allowed slavery. People say that this wasn't a slave state. There was informal slavery here. The only reason they made it a technicality to make slavery illegal in California, they didn't want the white wealthy slave owners back east coming here getting all the prime real estate. They had slavery out here. Our Foundation of Black American brothers and sisters and our ancestors were out here working enslaved. San Bernardino, California was a slave colony. There were slave colonies here around the Bay Area. We couldn't get out of slavery because they made it illegal for Black people to testify against white people. That's how they trick-bagged us up into slavery here. We have to be compensated for that. The second thing is we can't include all of these other groups with our reparations package. We hear a lot of Black and Native American. We hear a lot of Black and brown. That won't work either. All of these other groups, they've been compensated. Every single group besides Foundation of Black Americans has been compensated. White slave owners were compensated. White immigrants in the 1800s were compensated with the
Thank you,
Homestead
sir.
Act. Okay.
Thank you so much for your
Thank
comments
you so
this
much,
morning.
Amber.
And next, thank you so much for coming out. Ann Davis should be next. Ann Davis, please come forward.
Thank you. My name is Ann Davis, and I started a movement a few months ago. Attention, red and blue. Our Black vote is for sale. The lady, excuse me, she mentioned something earlier about HR 40. Won't you guys go in this audience and Google HR 40, which was something that a federal task force committee that was recommended to do on a federal level for reparation that sat dormant for 33 years with 9 presidents, including a Black one, with nothing done, even talked about reparations. I am so tired of my people suffering. They are suffering across America. Every nationality comes to this country and get a piece of the white privilege. While you can go to downtown Oakland, East Oakland, and see just travesty. I'm tired of my people suffering. And I just want you guys to put yourself in those shoes of the unfortunate Black Americans in America, and I appreciate your scholars and your education, but the majority is suffering. And all I'm asking is to be considerate of the suffering of our people and the pain of our people. That's it.
Thank you. Thank you so much. All right, next we should have Marcus Hunter, Cherise Cryer, and our last speaker will be Constance French. Please go ahead.
Peace and blessings, everybody. My gratitude to the commission and to all of the volunteers effectively doing a very difficult work. I appreciate you. My name is Dr. Marcus Anthony Hunter. I am a professor at UCLA, and I was the inaugural chair of the Department of African American Studies. By show of hands, I love to know how many people have ever heard of the phrase hashtag Black Lives Matter? Yeah? All the hands go up. I'm here to tell you today you are blessed with the presence of the creator of hashtag Black Lives Matter. Why I bring that up is because when I was creating that hashtag in August of 2012, I recently really thought a lot about the bid. By show of hands, how many people know what the bid is? How many people know what the bid is? The bit is what was put into your mouth when you were enslaved. An iron bit was put into your mouth. That meant that many people lost their smile. Why I'm bringing that up is because when I was saying Black Lives Matter, it was because we had lost our smiles. Why are smiles important? Smiles are important because they are the anchor of your thymus gland system, which keeps your immunity high. When we think about COVID and people dying from pre-existing conditions, Enslavement is a pre-existing condition. It made it so we couldn't smile and heal ourselves. So whenever we're talking about what kind of repair is needed, I think we need to have a radical repair mindset, because it is about more than a check. How much is your smile worth? How much is it worth? And my idea is that we should also think about solutions. And I want to be here to be able to provide a solution for the report. And I thought to myself, you know, we always hear about how much money goes out, who's getting what, how much. And I think it's about more than just a check, more than money, because a smile, again, is invaluable. And my thought is, for example, what if Black people woke up tomorrow finding out that Equifax, TransUnion, and Experian have given them an 800+ credit score? That's not a cash payment in your hand, but it is a version of repair, that all of a sudden makes you, as a small business owner, you get an opportunity to get a loan. All of a sudden you can get a credit card. So I would encourage those in the room.
Let him speak.
Go ahead.
You're disrespectful, please. Go ahead, brother.
Thank you. I just want to offer that when we're thinking about this space, I just want to make sure that we're encouraging solutions as well, because this is an environment and a forum where we're able to offer up our voice and our solutions. And one thing I think a lot about is the ways in which we are disadvantaged in ways that money can't buy. And credit and loans are one of them. And how it repairs is because slave ships were purchased with credits and loans. Property, credits and loans. So please be mindful and really think to yourself, what would it mean if your child going to college didn't need to co-sign for a loan because they have an 800+ credit score? All right.
Thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for your comments. Thank you. Okay, our last two speakers this morning are Sharice Cryer and Constance French. Please step forward. You may begin.
Good morning. Congrats to the commission, the DOJ, and those who traveled the state month after month to support reparations. My name is Sharice Cryer. I just wanted to first say everyone's input moving the needle on the reparations issue is valuable. It doesn't matter who came first, last, or in the middle, whether it's FBA, ADOS, CJAC, NASD, Freedmen, everyone has been valuable in this effort, and we need to recognize everyone's effort. Okay. Sometime last year, our federal government passed legislation to allow Ukrainian refugees to receive pensions and Social Security benefits, yet we still don't have reparations. If you are running for office, do not think you are going to win your election if you don't have a concrete plan for reparations. Biden, do not seek a second term unless it's accompanied by an executive order for reparations for descendants of American chattel slavery. And that goes for any other person who is running for office in these United States, okay? My final request to the task force, tax-free reparations, the recommendation needs to be tax-free reparations at both the federal and state levels. So you all need to work to make sure we have tax-free reparations at both levels. Also, the legislature, do not spend more than 2 years making a final decision on these recommendations. These don't need to simmer and don't need to be going through the legislature for any long time period. And this is to the boots on the ground. This is time up is for press. The time is up for pressing Black Democrats to pass reparations. It's time to press the white Republicans. So the boots on the ground, you post some videos about going to people's offices, the Black Democrats' office, that's cute. Now we need to go to the white Republicans' offices and press them and post those videos on Twitter and Instagram. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, our last speaker this morning will be Constance French. Please approach the mic. Good morning. You may begin.
Good morning. I want to talk real fast. I need y'all to think real fast. Okay, so first of all, I want to thank you all for your work. I know it's hard. And I want to thank our people, our young people, Yasmin, Fiani, and Emmanuel for their work, because we can't get it done unless somebody's organizing. The last speaker was on point. No reparations, no vote. Everybody, when we leave here, we got to get together on our concurrent work. Every time I come up here, I talk about what we need to do and how we need to respect each other. And we're not going to get everything we want. We're divergent. But stay focused on the main thing. We can do this. And we do have to hold people accountable, like the Reverends Amos Bell. We have to hold people accountable for what they do. So the other things, I'm with other people on, yes, it is lineage based. And yes, they have to clear up part 5 and define it. Like I said, you guys are doing good work. We have a lot of a concurrent work, like the other sister just said. We have to do our work. We have to contact these people. Don't let us stay in committee. We have people who know how to do the political thing. We have to do it. Okay, that means each one of you need to call, video, or whatever you do, but make sure they hear from us. Okay, we've got our work to do to get this done because it's a beautiful day for reparations. Okay, we're gonna do this. We're gonna win. Hold the passionate people together. Help them remember we have to win this. Now, remember when Malcolm was killed, there was a scuffle in the audience. Do you all remember that? There was a scuffle while they killed our leader. So like remind these people, you know, we got to be on point and we got to get this done. And I have one more thing. I hope I have time for it. Listen, I have one thing that I think would do that would help us in our self-esteem and our children's knowledge. We need to create billboards, posters everywhere you go. You know what you need to see? You need to see an apology from the descendants of the slave owners saying, we lied when we said that you were animals. We lied when we said you couldn't do science and you couldn't do all this uplifting work. We lied when we didn't honor people who did all the work in this country. We need to see that all over, okay? Descendants of slave owners, beneficiaries of slave owners. Yes, you're a beneficiary if you don't have my color. Okay.
Thank you
All
so
right.
much for your
Thank
comments
you so
this
very much.
morning.
I'm so glad.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, folks who have called in. Thank you, folks who have showed up today. If you did not get a chance to speak this morning, please, the task force invites you to submit written comments or testimony via email at reparationstaskforce@doj.ca.gov. Also, the next meeting will be June 30th. Thank you again. The meeting will continue. I'll turn it back over to Chair Moore, and I'm sure the task force would love for everyone to stick around to hear the rest of the business meeting. Thank you again.
Thank you, Ms. Martin Walton. Thank you, members of the public, for the public comment that you all provided on the phone and in person today. We'll now turn to the next item on the agenda, which is item number 4. Action item, approval of March 29th and 30th, 2023 meeting minutes. Task force members, we've been provided copies of the meeting minutes in advance. Members of the public can follow along on our website for a copy of those meeting minutes as well under the meeting materials tab. Seeing that we've had the opportunity to review the minutes, entertaining a motion to approve the minutes as presented, or entertaining a motion to amend the minutes.
Madam Chair, I move the approval as amended.
What are we amending?
Any amendment.
Oh, it has been properly moved by Vice Chair Brown and properly seconded by Senator Bradford that we approve the minutes as amended if there are any amendments. Are there any amendments?
I have a correction, Chair Moore.
Member Tamaki, you're recognized.
So this is a correction of the, on page 14, which is the names of the curriculum professors. It should be Professors Brinton and Bristol. So if you could, it's a minor, very minor thing, but I think because it's a name, it should be accurate. Bristol. Thanks.
Any other amendments? Hearing none, I'll turn to Parliamentarian Johnson for a roll call vote.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Madam Chair. I will begin calling the roll, beginning with Chair Moore.
Aye.
Chair Moore votes aye. Excuse me. I'm sorry. This is to approve the minutes as corrected. Next is Vice Chair Brown. Aye. Vice Chair Brown votes aye. Member Bradford. Member Bradford votes aye. Member Grills. Member Grills votes aye. Member Holder.
Member Holder? Member Holder is not voting. Member Jones Sawyer? Member Jones Sawyer? Member Jones Sawyer is not voting. I will go back to Member Holder. Member Holder votes aye. Excuse me. Member Lewis? Member Lewis votes aye. Member Montgomery Stepp? Member Montgomery Stepp votes aye. Member Tamaki? Member Tamaki votes aye. Madam Chair, there are 8 members present and voting. There are 8, excuse me, and 0.
Thank you. There are 8 ayes, 0 nays, 0 abstentions. The ayes have it and the motion carries. The meeting minutes are approved as amended or corrected. Now we will turn to the next action item on the agenda, but I wanted to check in with my fellow task force members. Do you all want to move to the next item or take a brief intermission or break? We're going to take a break of about 10 minutes. We're going to take a 10-minute break. Thank you.
Reparations is the key. Reparations will set us free.
Write your thoughts, dreams, and affirmations into existence with this powerful, practical reparations manifestation planner. Put 2023 plans into action with purpose.
The proofs are hot off the press and look fire, fam. Perfect planner to write reparations manifestations and any other New Year's resolutions, goals, and achievable aspirations. It's been stated, if you want to hide something from a Black person, put it in a book or write it down. Let's break those stereotypical trash tropes.
Conjure our justice claim collectively in 2023. Believe it and achieve it. Cut the check. Reparations Now Planner. Available now at Amazon.com. Write it into existence this year with fam and friends.
The way it currently stands, forced labor, slavery takes precedence over rehabilitation and public safety.
Oh, by the way, while the Biden administration gives reparations to everyone but free people, look at the billions he has run over to Ukraine.
We don't have Black grocery stores because if you think about it now, just to get in that supply chain, it's almost unheard of.
They don't want the truth to get out. Okay? I don't want to know what my family did or what all these people did and all this stuff like that. Okay? You read that 500-page report.
There's this thing called white superiority and Black inferiority. That mindset allows all of the behaviors that we've seen across generations.
I had no idea that that church I was running by every day was something my grandfather established.
This is not a handout. This is a debt that is owed.
You know, Allensworth was like the internet of his time in 1904, 1905.
The total Black population in California is about 2.6 million, and then of that, the descendants compose about 2.2 million of that. So California, with a multi-billion-dollar surplus, can absolutely afford to satisfy the international terms for reparations, beginning with compensation.
Any financial obstacle that exists that impedes the success of increasing financial prosperity needs to be dealt with and eliminated.
No matter where we've been, no matter what part of this fight we've been in, we've been harmed, and we've had harm done to us specifically.
When I got to Los Angeles, this was some of the worst segregation I'd ever seen. And remember, I'm telling you, I'm from Mississippi.
Because as you can see, I'm giving you broken history right now, you know? But I had to give it to you guys today. I said, no, I got to show them this because it's so precious and nobody really knows about it.
Overnight, it's like, oh, it's no longer the quarters, now it's Lincoln Heights. Oh, so now we get to use Abraham Lincoln for our name. And you think about all the other people that they could have used, but they picked Lincoln. And I think that's sort of a stereotypical of what they do.
There wasn't any black restaurants. As far as black business and weed, it wasn't none.
Black people don't have that kind of luxury. Our historically black communities have been redistricted multiple times.
Why has it been easier for other groups than us?
Because of anti-black hatred.
Now listen, if you can't handle the TR room, don't tune in.
From financial ruin. Next slide, please. But I'm going with a much more conservative interest rate of 3%. With that, I arrive at a 2019 estimate of $19.14 trillion. Next slide, please. I should mention that merely doubling the interest rate to the more realistic 6% would exponentially blow up the total estimates to $6.6 quadrillion 2019 dollars. Next slide, please. Thus, the interest rate will be the most important figure to negotiate between the descendant community and the federal government should such negotiations begin in earnest. Next slide. So let me stick with a 3% compound interest estimate of $19.14 trillion. Next slide. Now, the average amount of reparations owed per US resident can be estimated by using the US Bureau of the Census's count of the 2019 US population, which included approximately 328 million individuals. This includes everyone who at least indirectly benefits from the startup capital that slavery provided to the US economy today. It includes first-generation immigrants like myself, as well as African-American descendants of the enslaved, as well as everybody else. Each US resident would owe on average $58,302. African-American descendants of the enslaved in the US would receive reparations in a larger amount, and the net amount, if you subtract that $58,000, would be $406,785 per eligible recipient in 2019 dollars. This means that wage-based reparations at only 3% interest would comfortably close the 2019 average per capita black-white wealth gap of $358,293. Next slide. Of course, This only addresses losses due to withheld wages during US slavery and thus lost inheritances. What is missing is colonial slavery as well as post-slavery de jure anti-Black racial discrimination. And missing, according to Professor Swin,
We will resume at 1:20. So we're going to go to lunch. Okay, we're going to resume at 1:20. Thank you so much.
All right, fam. Looks like they're about to go to lunch pretty soon. So, or they're going to lunch actually right now. So we're gonna take a quick break. Yeah, can you hear one in the chat if y'all can hear me? Just press the one real quick. All right. So, anyway. Oh, cool. You guys can hear me. All right, great. So they're gonna be on a lunch break. I think they're gonna be back at 1:20. So man, this was crazy, family. It was off the chain today. I have no idea what happened today, but ETM is in the building trying to hold it down for the community. And just give everybody a heads up in our chat. We let the community speak. I know some people have a way about what people say and so forth. You can choose to ignore it or you can choose to respond, but this is a community building website, and that's how we roll, family. And I think somebody said in the chat, we despise people or have a feeling about you to our brother Tariq. Not at all. So we're gonna squelch that immediately. So anyway, we're about to go to lunch pretty soon. I'll go ahead and let's see. Yeah, we're probably gonna cut the stream right now, but if you go back onto our channel, we're gonna go back at 1:20. Here, before I go, let me see if I can send the link just in case. Yeah, right. Yeah, people are frustrated, family. It's I get it. You know what I mean? Like as a people, we've been through a lot. You know what I mean? So my compadre, Miss Kim Mims, is in the building getting back. You want to say what's up?
What's up, family? We were
All
just
right.
out interviewing Dr. Amos. He was explaining about that $5 million mix-up, he says.
$5 million mix up. CO in the building. What's up? What's up, LA born in the building? But yeah, it's crazy. Should we get no, we shouldn't get on. Nah. Anyway, so yeah, we're gonna take a break. You want to get on camera real quick for the family? All right, family. We normally don't do this, right? But we'll go ahead. Get on here. You can put it right here. But yeah, no, y'all been rolling with ETM for a minute, so we all appreciate y'all, family. We're gonna try. This is for y'all. We normally don't be on like the camera and stuff like that. What's up, Alex? What's up, homie?
Great articles coming out last week there.
All right.
I mean, I thought that it was.
So yeah, family, we in the building. But yeah, it's crazy out here. We normally don't be on camera like this, sometimes, but guess we do this for the family in the building. Nah, seriously, everyone, we really appreciate you. We really appreciate everybody for coming through. This is a crazy time for the Black American community right now. I know everybody has the names for our lineage, but that's what we do here. Yeah, appreciate. Hey, I want to give a shout out to a good brother, Marcus Champion, in the building. Say what's up to the family, brother. Marcus Champion be holding it down. Brother created some language in the AB 3121. So, we got to give credit where credit is definitely due. So keep up the great work, brother. Tell the family we said what's up. What's up, Nikki the God? What you doing, family? What's up in the building? Shout out to Deduction Dog. What's up, fam? Man, you doing God's work, baby. So are you. We appreciate you, family. So are you. Definitely, man. What's up, Jesse Paris for Denver mayor? Hey, brother, you really going for mayor in Denver, brother? We got to get you on the platform, man. See what's up, bro. Hit us up, man. etmmediagroup.com or ETM. Yeah, you can go to etmmediagroup.com or hit us up at etmmediagroup@gmail.com. Love to interview you, bro. All right, hit us up, homie.
So it sounded like, from what I could hear, the guy saying.
Yeah, shout out B1 in the building, FBA in the building. But yeah, this is. I mean, it was really unfortunate what happened today, right? Um, we're actually trying to get things done. We're trying to hear from the community, or at least a task force is trying to hear for the community. And we just appreciate everybody's energy. We understand that people are hurt right now, and we're trying to fight for these reparations. But at the same time, man, you gotta let people speak. This is a public forum, at the end of the day. And if people don't like it, they don't have to show up. But if you're gonna show up, say your 2 cents, you got 2 minutes, and that's it. And then you got to get off. So, we're just trying to be behind the scenes, trying to give, some information to the community. And hey, once again, if y'all in the chat, some people may say certain things that you may not like, and hey, we may not like it, but we try to be a voice for the community, for the people. So, it's all good. We're gonna try to keep it respectful in the building. But yeah, we're gonna probably shut this stream down. Go take a quick break, and then we'll be back. So come back at 1, 2. Oh, what's up? My mom's in the building. Now I'm gonna say this straight up. My mom's is in the building, right? Now without
Hey, Mama Glass.
without straight up, y'all, without our people before us, we wouldn't be here. That's why we stand on the shoulders of giants, right? I mean, my mom's a giant, my dad's a giant, my grandma's a giant. Without them, I wouldn't be here. And shout out to Kim in the building, right? And shout out to everybody in the chat. Seriously, like this is what we're talking about. This is community. We're not about everybody talking what they talking about, whatever, but contributing, right? Coming up with solutions, right? Because at the end of the day, that's what we need. We've been hurt, so we need solutions, family. We don't need no riffraff. And I'm just gonna keep it a buck, right? I mean, for me, and this is personally speaking, I think some people really want, when they get on, these public comments, they really want they shine, right? And I'm just gonna be straight up. Some people, we try to say, hey, you want to interview you or whatever, and you come on to, they be like, no, I'm good or whatever. I'm like, well, dude, if you could, we're gonna give you some. But some people just want that attention, right? And that's fine, because as Black people, some of us need it, right? And it's all good.
Clout chasers.
Yes, clout chasers. But hey, it's all good. We all need our shine. We all need our light in the sun, right? So hey, we're gonna keep pushing. We're gonna keep going, doing what we're doing. And I mean, even though even the mass media don't get the love like I think we should get, we keep pushing and we keep going, family. So shout out. Hey, that's why we're here, to hold it down for the family. All right, y'all. On that note, come check us back out. It should start in about an hour. They said an hour, right?
Yeah, we're going straight through to lunch. So when we come back, we'll be on we're going to shut this down and come back after lunch. I believe 1:20 is the comeback time. Yeah, but it'll be a new link, but we'll get that out to the people, or check over at ETM Media for the next live.
Yeah. So we're gonna break it down here, and see you in about a 1:20, fam. All right. Oh, what's up, man? See, we was about to leave, but this brother always got to show up at the last minute. Bruh, why you always got to show up? You always do this, bruh. What up, Chad in the building, man? Shout out to Chad,
yeah,
man.
I wish you were here, fam.
Yeah, be safe with you and your family, brother. We'll do one more. Yeah, I'm feeling you on that one. Facts. Shout out to a good sister, CO. What's up, homie? Holding it down. She's definitely boots on the ground. Definitely boots on the ground. But yeah, family. Yep. All right, family, we're gonna shut it down. See you at 1:20. Hopefully they'll be ready to go. We're gonna be ready to rock and roll. All right, y'all. Peace and reparations.